Throughout history, philosophers, scientists, and mystics have pondered the nature of reality, questioning whether the universe is as concrete as it appears or if it is merely an illusion. Some traditions, such as Hinduism and Buddhism, suggest that the world is akin to a dream, an ephemeral experience shaped by perception rather than an objective truth. This idea has also found its way into modern science and philosophy, with thinkers exploring the possibility that consciousness plays a fundamental role in shaping reality. In dreams, we experience vivid landscapes, emotions, and even a sense of time, all of which feel real until we wake up. The mind constructs entire worlds, complete with people, places, and events, yet none of them exist outside of the dreamer's perception. This raises an intriguing question. Could our waking life be another layer of dreaming? Philosophers such as Descartes and Berkeley have entertained similar ideas, proposing that reality might be a projection of the mind or an illusion sustained by consciousness. Scientific advancements have also contributed to this discussion. Quantum mechanics, for example, reveals a universe that behaves unpredictably until observed, challenging the notion of an independent physical world. Experiments like the double-slit experiment suggest that particles exist in a state of probability until they are measured, implying that observation itself influences reality. If reality depends on consciousness, then the universe might not be an objective entity but rather a shared, dreamlike phenomenon experienced by all conscious beings. From a psychological perspective, the human brain filters and interprets sensory information to create a coherent experience of the world. What we perceive as solid and stable is, in reality, a collection of atomic and subatomic particles in constant motion. Our senses deceive us into perceiving continuity, much like how a dream feels seamless, even though it is an illusion generated by the mind. This raises the possibility that our waking reality is structured in a way similar to dreams, constructed, fluid, and ultimately shaped by consciousness. Mystical and religious traditions have long described the universe in dreamlike terms. Hindu philosophy speaks of Maya, the grand illusion that veils the true nature of existence. Some interpretations of Buddhism suggest that enlightenment comes when one realizes that reality is like a dream, fleeting and impermanent. Even in Western thought, figures such as Plato and Pythagoras considered the physical world to be a shadow of a deeper, more fundamental reality. These perspectives suggest that waking up from the dream of the universe could lead to a higher understanding of existence. If the universe is indeed dreamlike, what does this mean for human life and experience? It might suggest that reality is more flexible than it appears, and that consciousness has a greater role in shaping it than traditionally assumed. It could mean that death is merely a transition, like waking from one dream into another. It may also encourage a more profound appreciation for the present moment, recognizing that our experiences, while transient, hold deep significance. While no definitive answer exists, the idea of the universe as a dream invites curiosity and reflection. Whether interpreted through philosophy, science, or spirituality, it challenges the rigid distinctions between reality and illusion, urging us to reconsider the true nature of existence, life as a puzzle. Life often feels like a complex puzzle, with scattered pieces that we struggle to fit together. At times, everything aligns perfectly, forming a clear picture, while at other moments, the pieces seem mismatched or missing altogether. This metaphor captures the essence of human experience, the search for meaning, purpose, and connection in a world that often appears fragmented. Each person begins life with an incomplete puzzle. Some pieces are given early on, family, culture, and personal traits, while others must be discovered over time. Education, relationships, and experiences add new pieces, shaping the evolving picture. Some pieces may seem to fit perfectly at first, but later turn out to be incorrect, leading to confusion and the need for reassessment. Other times, a missing piece may remain elusive, leaving a gap that can only be filled through patience and perseverance. Challenges and obstacles often feel like missing or misplaced pieces, leading to frustration and uncertainty. Yet, these difficulties are an essential part of the process. Without struggle, growth would be impossible. Every mistake, failure, or setback provides an opportunity to reassess, shift perspectives, and find a better way forward. Just as a puzzle requires patience and persistence, so does life, as individuals gradually make sense of their journey. The puzzle of life is not only personal, but also interconnected with others. Each person's puzzle exists alongside countless others, sometimes overlapping, sometimes influencing one another. Relationships form bridges between different puzzles, adding new dimensions to the picture. Some people provide missing pieces, offering guidance, support, or inspiration, while others introduce challenges that force a deeper understanding of the bigger picture. Unlike a traditional puzzle with a predetermined image, life's puzzle is dynamic. The picture is not fixed from the beginning, but takes shape as choices are made and paths are followed. People are not just assembling a puzzle, they are also creating it. This means that uncertainty is inevitable, but it also means that there is freedom to shape one's destiny. While some may feel anxious about not seeing the full picture right away, the beauty of life lies in its unpredictability and the excitement of discovery. At times, it may seem as though pieces are lost, or that the puzzle will never be complete. Moments of doubt and confusion are natural, and they often lead to profound insights. It is in these moments of searching that people develop resilience, creativity, and a deeper understanding of themselves. The realization that some pieces may never be found, or that new pieces will continue to emerge, can be both humbling and liberating. Instead of seeking perfection, one can learn to appreciate the process of assembling the puzzle, embracing the unexpected twists and turns along the way. Ultimately, life as a puzzle reminds us that meaning is not handed to us but created through effort, reflection, and perseverance. The challenge is not to rush to completion but to embrace the process, trusting that even the most difficult pieces will eventually find their place. Every experience, every decision, and every connection contributes to the unique masterpiece that each individual is constantly shaping. The journey itself, rather than the final image, is what holds the deepest meaning. Measuring time, or time measuring us. Time is often thought of as something we measure, a sequence of moments tracked by clocks and calendars. Yet, in many ways, it feels as though time is measuring us instead. It dictates the rhythm of our lives, marking beginnings and endings, shaping our memories, and reminding us of our limitations. While we attempt to control time, dividing it into hours, days, and years, it remains elusive, slipping through our fingers even as we try to hold on to it. Human civilization has long been obsessed with measuring time. From the movement of the stars to the ticking of a second hand, we have created intricate systems to track its passage. Ancient cultures observed celestial cycles, inventing sundials, water clocks, and calendars to bring order to life. Today, we live by atomic clocks that measure time with near-perfect precision. Despite our mastery over measuring time, we cannot escape its effects. No matter how advanced our tools become, time continues its steady march forward, indifferent to our attempts to capture it. Yet, time is not just a number on a clock, it is deeply personal. A minute spent waiting in anticipation feels longer than an hour lost in joy. A year in childhood stretches endlessly, while in adulthood it seems to vanish in an instant. Time bends and shifts, shaped by perception and emotion rather than by the rigid ticks of a clock. It does not simply move forward in a straight line. It expands and contracts based on how we experience it. As much as we measure time, it seems to measure us in return. It marks our growth, revealing the changes in our bodies, our relationships, and our understanding of the world. It measures our patience, testing how well we endure delays and hardships. It evaluates our priorities, forcing us to decide how we spend the precious hours we are given. It reminds us of our mortality, urging us to make the most of the time we have. Some seek to master time, filling every moment with purpose, productivity, or ambition. Others choose to surrender to its flow, embracing the present and letting life unfold without rigid schedules. But no matter how we interact with time, we cannot separate ourselves from it. It is both the background and the framework of our existence, shaping our stories while remaining an ever-present mystery. Ultimately, the question remains, do we measure time, or does time measure us? Perhaps it is both. While we attempt to define it with numbers and schedules, it defines us through change and experience. It is not just something we track, it is something we feel, something that moves through us as much as we move through it. Whether we try to control it or simply let it pass, time remains one of life's greatest paradoxes, a force that is at once measurable and immeasurable, fleeting and infinite. Stardust and Self-Discovery. Human beings often look up at the night sky in wonder, captivated by the vastness of the universe. The stars, distant and ancient, seem to tell a story beyond our own. Yet, science and philosophy remind us of something extraordinary. We are not separate from the cosmos, but a part of it. The very elements that make up our bodies were forged in the hearts of dying stars, scattered across space, and eventually formed into the earth and everything on it. To explore the universe is to explore ourselves, for we are made of stardust. The journey of self-discovery is much like unraveling the mysteries of the universe. It begins with questions: who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose? These questions drive us just as they drive astronomers to peer deeper into space, searching for meaning among the galaxies. Self-discovery, like the study of the cosmos, requires curiosity, patience, and a willingness to embrace the unknown. It is a process of understanding the forces that shaped us, both on a cosmic scale and within our personal lives. Just as stars undergo cycles of birth, transformation, and eventual destruction, so too do human beings experience constant change. We are shaped by our experiences, growing through challenges, adapting to new environments, and sometimes reinventing ourselves entirely. There are moments when we feel lost, like a lone particle drifting through space, unsure of where we belong. Yet, even in the vastness of the unknown, every star has a place, and every person carries within them a unique purpose waiting to be discovered. The idea that we are made of stardust offers a profound perspective on identity and connection. It suggests that self-discovery is not just about looking inward, but also about understanding our relationship with the world around us. Every breath we take contains atoms that have traveled through time, once part of ancient stars, oceans, and living beings before us. This interconnectedness reminds us that we are never truly alone. We are part of something greater, woven into the fabric of the cosmos. While the universe operates on grand scales, self-discovery is deeply personal. It is found in quiet moments of reflection, in the pursuit of passions, in the connections we build with others. It unfolds in the choices we make, the dreams we chase, and the lessons we learn along the way. Just as astronomers map constellations to navigate the stars, we map our own stories to navigate life. The patterns we find, the truths we uncover, and the paths we choose all contribute to the larger picture of who we are. Ultimately, to embrace self-discovery is to embrace the same wonder that drives us to explore the cosmos. It is the recognition that, like stars, we burn with our own light. Each of us unique, yet part of a vast and mysterious whole. We are not separate from the universe. We are the universe, experiencing itself through consciousness, learning, and growth. In seeking to understand ourselves, we come closer to understanding the very fabric of existence, and in that realization, we find both awe and belonging. Reality, illusion, or truth? Reality is something we often take for granted. We wake up, go about our daily lives, interact with others, and assume that the world around us is exactly as it appears. But beneath the surface of everyday experience lies a profound and ancient question. Is reality truly what it seems, or is it merely an illusion? From philosophy to science, from religion to personal perception, the nature of reality has been one of the greatest mysteries humanity has ever confronted. Throughout history, different civilizations and thinkers have debated what reality actually is. Philosophers like Plato argued that the physical world is just a shadow of a deeper, truer reality, one that can only be grasped through reason and intellect. Eastern traditions such as Hinduism and Buddhism teach that what we perceive as reality is an illusion, a dreamlike experience shaped by the mind rather than an absolute truth. In these views, enlightenment comes from recognizing that what we see is not the full picture, but rather a construct of perception. Modern science, particularly in the fields of physics and neuroscience, adds another layer to this mystery. Quantum mechanics suggests that particles exist in multiple states until they are observed, implying that consciousness itself may play a role in shaping reality. Neuroscientists argue that what we perceive is not reality itself, but the brain's interpretation of sensory information, meaning that our experience of the world is filtered, limited, and often deceptive. Optical illusions, dreams, and hallucinations all serve as reminders that what we see and feel may not be as objective as we assume. But if reality is an illusion, does that mean there is no truth? Or does truth exist beyond what our senses can perceive? While illusions may distort our understanding of the world, they do not necessarily mean that reality itself does not exist. A mirage in the desert does not mean the desert is fake. It simply means that our perception of it can be flawed. Similarly, what we perceive as solid and stable is, on a microscopic level, mostly empty space composed of atoms and subatomic particles in constant motion. This suggests that what we call reality is more complex than it appears, layered with mysteries that go beyond our everyday understanding. Perhaps reality is both illusion and truth at the same time. The way we experience the world is shaped by our minds, emotions, and perceptions, making it subjective and fluid. However, beneath this shifting experience, there may be an underlying truth, a reality that exists independent of human observation, even if we can never fully grasp it. Just as a dream feels real while we are inside it, yet fades when we wake up, our perception of reality may be one layer of a greater, hidden truth. In the end, the question of reality remains open. Is what we see and experience the full truth, or just a limited perspective of something much greater? Whether reality is an illusion or a deeper truth waiting to be uncovered, the search for answers is what drives human curiosity, philosophy, and scientific discovery. Perhaps the journey itself, rather than the destination, is where the real truth lies. The last time you're remembered. Every life leaves behind an imprint, a trace that lingers in the memories of others. But just as people are born, live, and eventually pass away, so too do their legacies fade with time. The last time you are remembered marks the true end of your existence in this world, when your name is spoken for the final time, when the last person who knew your story is gone, and when your presence dissolves into history, leaving only silence. Most people live without thinking about this final moment of remembrance. We are consumed by the present, by our daily routines, relationships, and aspirations. But if we stop to reflect, we might wonder, how long will we be remembered? Who will carry our name forward? What pieces of our existence will remain after we are gone? These questions are unsettling, yet they reveal something profound about the nature of life, memory, and legacy. For some, remembrance is measured in generations. Family stories, photographs, and traditions keep ancestors alive in the minds of their descendants. A grandparent's wisdom may be passed down through shared words or habits, unknowingly influencing the lives of those who come after. But even family memories eventually fade, as new generations arise and old ones disappear. For others, remembrance extends beyond family through accomplishments, art, or historical significance. Writers, artists, scientists, and leaders may be remembered for centuries, their names written in books, their ideas shaping the world long after their time. Yet even the greatest names are not immune to obscurity. Civilizations rise and fall, and history forgets as much as it records. What was once famous may one day be unknown, buried under the weight of time. Yet, not all remembrance is tied to fame or history. Some are remembered in small, intimate ways, through a simple act of kindness, a lesson taught, or a moment of connection. A teacher's encouragement may shape a student's future. A friend's compassion may provide comfort in a difficult time, and a stranger's generosity may be recalled in gratitude. These moments may seem fleeting, but they create ripples, carrying a person's essence forward in ways they may never realize. Perhaps the question is not how long we are remembered, but how deeply we impact those around us while we are here. If the last time you are remembered is inevitable, then what matters most is the life lived before that moment. It is not about striving for eternal recognition, but about leaving behind something meaningful, however small. It is about the love shared, the kindness given, and the lives touched along the way. In the end, no one can control how long they will be remembered, but everyone can choose how they are remembered. And perhaps, in the grand scheme of things, that is what truly matters. Not the number of years our name survives, but the moments, however brief, where we made a difference in the lives of others. For as long as someone carries even a piece of who we were, in a memory, in a story, or in the echoes of an action, a part of us remains, alive, if only for a little while longer. Are we dreaming now? Reality feels solid, predictable, and unquestionable, until we stop to wonder if it is. What if everything around us, the sight, sounds, and sensations we experience, is nothing more than a dream? This question has fascinated philosophers, scientists, and thinkers for centuries, challenging our understanding of consciousness and the nature of existence itself. If dreams can feel real while we are inside them, how can we be sure that what we call reality is not just another dream? Dreams are strange, fluid, and often surreal. Yet, while dreaming, we rarely question their authenticity. It is only when we wake up that we recognize their inconsistencies. But what if waking life itself is just another layer of dreaming, one that we have not yet awakened from? This idea, explored in ancient philosophy, literature, and modern science fiction, raises a profound question. What is the difference between dreaming and reality? Philosophers such as René Descartes famously questioned whether we could ever truly prove we are not dreaming. He argued that our senses can deceive us, that we could be living in an elaborate illusion, controlled by forces beyond our understanding. Similarly, Eastern philosophies such as those in Buddhism and Hinduism suggest that life itself is like a dream, a temporary illusion that conceals a deeper, ultimate reality. In these perspectives, enlightenment is akin to waking up from a long, unconscious sleep. Science, too, offers intriguing possibilities. Neuroscientists studying consciousness have found that the brain behaves in surprisingly similar ways during dreaming and wakefulness. Both states rely on the mind's ability to create a narrative, construct images, and interpret reality. Some theories even propose that what we perceive as real is simply the brain's best guess at interpreting sensory data, meaning that our experience of reality is always a form of dreaming, shaped by our expectations and perceptions. Modern simulations and virtual reality further blur the lines between waking and dreaming. If technology can create increasingly lifelike experiences, could we one day live inside an artificial dream, unable to tell the difference? Some theories suggest we may already be in one. The simulation hypothesis argues that what we perceive as reality could be an advanced illusion, much like a dream generated by an unseen force, perhaps a highly sophisticated civilization or even our own future selves. But does it matter whether we are dreaming now or not? If what we experience feels real, if emotions, relationships, and moments have meaning, then does it truly make a difference? Perhaps the answer is not to seek absolute proof of reality, but to embrace the experience we are given, whether it is a dream or not. If we are dreaming now, then let it be a dream worth having. A dream where we create, explore, love, and grow. And if we one day wake up to find that all of this was an illusion, then at least it was a dream that felt alive, that shaped us, and that for a time was all we ever knew. The sound of a falling tree is a thought-provoking concept that explores the nature of perception and reality. The phrase is commonly used to delve into philosophical questions about existence, and whether something can be said to happen if no one is there to witness it. In its simplest form, the question it raises is whether a tree, when it falls in a forest and no one is present to hear it, makes a sound. At its core, this question challenges the assumptions we make about the world around us. We often perceive reality through our senses, believing that what we hear, see, smell, taste, or touch is an accurate reflection of the world itself. But what if there are aspects of reality that exist beyond our immediate perception? This notion invites a deeper look into the relationship between the observer and the observed. Can something truly exist if it is not perceived by anyone, or does it require an observer to give it meaning? Philosophers have long debated these issues, with various schools of thought offering different perspectives. The objective reality theory argues that the world exists independently of our perceptions. According to this view, even if no one is there to hear the tree fall, the sound is still produced. The tree's fall and the associated vibrations in the air exist regardless of human observation. This perspective leans on the belief in an external world that remains constant, regardless of the observer. On the other hand, the subjective view suggests that reality is shaped by the perceptions of the observer. From this perspective, if no one is there to hear the tree fall, then no sound is made. Sound, in this view, is not an objective phenomenon but a sensory experience. It only exists in the context of someone hearing it. This viewpoint aligns with some aspects of idealism, where reality is shaped by the mind and its experiences. There are also more nuanced positions that blend these perspectives. Some propose that events happen independently of human observation, but our understanding and experience of those events are limited by our senses. In this view, the sound may exist, but the perception of it requires the presence of an observer with the ability to hear it. This concept extends beyond trees and forests and into everyday life. It asks us to reconsider how we understand events and phenomena in our world. For example, when we listen to music or watch a film, are we truly experiencing the art, or is our experience merely a construct of our senses? What about events that occur without our awareness? Do they hold meaning, or is their significance only tied to our recognition of them? In the context of modern science, the question of whether a tree makes a sound when it falls can also be connected to the study of consciousness and perception. Neuroscience and psychology have shown that much of what we perceive is constructed by our brains, meaning that our experiences of the world may be far from an objective reflection of reality. This opens up questions about the limits of human perception and the role of consciousness in shaping what we understand to be real. Ultimately, the sound of a falling tree serves as a metaphor for the ways in which we engage with the world. It challenges us to think critically about perception, reality, and the nature of existence. It also encourages us to acknowledge the limits of our understanding and the possibility that what we experience is just a small part of a much larger, unseen world. The universe within you. The concept of the universe within you suggests a deep connection between the cosmos and the individual. It evokes the idea that the universe is not something distant and separate from us, but is intricately woven into the fabric of our existence. This idea transcends traditional notions of the universe as a vast, impersonal expanse of stars, galaxies, and cosmic phenomena, proposing instead that everything within us mirrors the vastness of the external world. It reflects the notion that the same forces that shape the universe, like gravity, energy, and matter, are also present within us, shaping our bodies, minds, and souls. One of the most fascinating aspects of this idea is the concept of interconnectedness. If the universe is indeed within us, it implies that we are not isolated entities, but rather part of a much larger, interconnected system. This view resonates with various philosophical and spiritual traditions, which have long asserted that the individual and the universe are inextricably linked. From ancient Eastern philosophies like Buddhism and Hinduism to more modern ideas of holistic health and quantum physics, the notion that the universe is reflected within the individual has been a consistent theme. In many ways, the idea of the universe within you challenges our perception of reality. It invites us to explore the idea that everything around us is a reflection of our inner world. Just as we look up to the stars and marvel at the cosmos, we are also encouraged to look inward and discover the vastness within ourselves. This shift in perspective can be empowering, as it suggests that we have the potential to tap into universal wisdom and energy through our own consciousness and understanding. On a scientific level, the idea of the universe within you can be linked to the discoveries of modern physics, particularly in the realm of quantum mechanics. In this field, researchers have uncovered the interconnectedness of all things, from the subatomic particles that make up matter to the vast cosmic structures that stretch across the universe. The concept of quantum entanglement, where particles become intertwined and affect each other regardless of distance, mirrors the idea that we are deeply connected to the cosmos. This scientific understanding offers a physical basis for the metaphor that the universe resides within us. Psychologically, the concept also ties into the exploration of the subconscious mind. Just as the universe contains infinite mysteries, so does the human mind. The depths of our consciousness hold vast potential for self-discovery, healing, and growth. This idea encourages individuals to embark on journeys of self-exploration and transformation, recognizing that the answers to life's most profound questions may lie not in the external world, but within our own minds and hearts. By looking inward, we can discover insights that reflect the complexity and beauty of the universe itself. Moreover, this concept touches upon the power of intention and manifestation. Many philosophies and practices, such as the law of attraction, suggest that our thoughts and emotions influence the world around us. If the universe is indeed within us, then we have the power to shape our reality through our beliefs and actions. This empowers us to take responsibility for our lives, understanding that the universe responds to the energy we put out. In a broader sense, the universe within you also encourages a sense of unity and oneness. It calls for a recognition that all individuals are part of the same vast, interconnected whole. Just as every star and planet in the cosmos plays a role in the larger system, each person contributes to the collective experience of humanity and the world at large. This understanding fosters a sense of compassion and connection, urging us to live in harmony with ourselves, each other, and the environment. Ultimately, the universe within you invites us to embark on a journey of self-discovery, recognizing that the vastness of the universe is not just something external to us, but is intricately embedded in every aspect of our being. By exploring the universe within, we come to realize that we are not merely passive observers of the cosmos, but active participants in its unfolding. Déjà vu and parallel realities. Déjà vu and parallel realities is a concept that intertwines a common human experience with one of the most intriguing ideas in both science fiction and modern physics. Déjà vu, the feeling that one has experienced a moment before, is a phenomenon that has puzzled people for centuries. It often strikes unexpectedly, making the individual feel as if they are reliving a specific moment or event, even though it is happening for the first time. When paired with the idea of parallel realities, the sensation of déjà vu takes on a much deeper and more mysterious meaning, suggesting that there may be alternate versions of reality where events unfold differently, or where moments are experienced simultaneously across multiple dimensions. Déjà vu itself is often described as a glitch in our brain's processing system. Some theories suggest that it occurs when the brain processes information in a way that causes a current experience to overlap with a past memory, giving the illusion that the experience is not new. Other theories posit that déjà vu is a result of the brain retrieving memories from alternate realities or parallel universes, where the same event has occurred in a different form or sequence. In this interpretation, déjà vu becomes not just a quirk of the mind, but a potential glimpse into parallel lives or universes that coexist with our own. The concept of parallel realities, or alternate dimensions, is rooted in theoretical physics. Some scientists and philosophers argue that our universe may not be the only one. Instead, it could be one of many in a multiverse. Each of these universes may have slightly different physical laws, histories, and outcomes, but they may also contain versions of ourselves and the experiences we undergo. According to the theory of the multiverse, these parallel realities may exist in close proximity to one another, though we usually cannot perceive them. The idea is that every decision we make creates a branching path, leading to the formation of alternate realities where different choices and outcomes unfold. When these two concepts, the sensation of déjà vu and the idea of parallel realities, are combined, the phenomenon of déjà vu takes on a new level of complexity. Perhaps the déjà vu experience is not simply a memory glitch, but a brief glimpse into one of these parallel realities. In this view, when someone experiences déjà vu, they are momentarily aware of an alternate version of themselves living through a similar scenario in a parallel universe. The feeling of familiarity that accompanies déjà vu could be the mind's way of recognizing an overlap between the present and one of these parallel worlds. Moreover, the notion of parallel realities and déjà vu invites speculation about the nature of time and space. If multiple realities exist simultaneously, it raises questions about the fluidity of time. Could time be nonlinear, with past, present, and future events coexisting in different dimensions? Is it possible that moments from the future or past occasionally bleed into our present experience, causing the sensation of déjà vu? These questions challenge our conventional understanding of time as a straight line and open up possibilities for deeper exploration into the structure of the universe. One intriguing idea that emerges from this intersection of déjà vu and parallel realities is the possibility that these alternate realities may not be as far removed from our own as we think. Rather than being distant or unreachable, these parallel dimensions could be intertwined with our own, existing in parallel spaces that we are not usually aware of. When we experience déjà vu, it could be a moment when our consciousness brushes against one of these other realities, allowing us to experience a fleeting connection with an alternate version of ourselves or an alternate outcome. Although there is no scientific evidence to support the existence of parallel realities or the idea that déjà vu is connected to them, these concepts continue to captivate the human imagination. They provoke us to think about the nature of reality, consciousness, and the universe in new and exciting ways. Whether viewed through the lens of quantum physics, science fiction, or philosophy, the idea of déjà vu and parallel realities encourages us to question the boundaries of our experience and consider the possibility that the universe is far more complex and interconnected than we can comprehend. It reminds us that reality may not be as fixed as it appears, and that there could be hidden dimensions to our existence waiting to be discovered. Your last words to someone. The last words you say to someone can hold profound significance. Whether you realize it or not, the final exchange between two people can become a memory that lingers for a lifetime, shaping their thoughts and feelings long after the moment has passed. What you say can offer comfort, create lasting impressions, or even leave an unresolved tension hanging in the air. Your last words to someone can hold immense power, potentially influencing the course of future interactions or providing closure when words seem insufficient. For many people, the idea of their final words to a loved one or acquaintance is something that stays in their mind, consciously or subconsciously. These words are often tied to the idea of farewell, whether it is a literal goodbye or the last conversation you have before life changes in some irreversible way. They may come in the form of a last expression of love, a final apology, or a chance to impart wisdom. But they can also come in moments of frustration, regret, or anger, leaving a very different kind of mark on the people involved. Regardless of the situation, your last words, even in the most fleeting moments, can be incredibly meaningful. In situations where death or departure is imminent, people tend to reflect deeply on the importance of the words they leave behind. The final words spoken to a family member, close friend, or partner can be a cherished memory. For those left behind, the words often echo through their minds for years, even decades. What should you say to someone who is dying or leaving your life? The pressure to say something that encapsulates everything you feel, or to leave no room for doubt, can feel overwhelming. Should it be something profound and impactful, or should it be something lighthearted to ease the weight of a heavy moment? One important consideration when thinking about last words is the relationship between you and the other person. If it's someone with whom you've had a close bond, the words you choose may come from a place of love, intimacy, or deep understanding. You may want to express how much you care for them, remind them of cherished memories, or reassure them that everything will be okay, even in times of uncertainty. Last words to someone you deeply care for might be as simple as, "I love you," or "I'll miss you." Sometimes, just saying something small and comforting can leave a lasting impact, especially when words are difficult to find in the face of emotion. On the other hand, if your relationship with the person was strained or unresolved, your last words might carry the weight of all the unspoken feelings between you. These words can sometimes be more difficult to express, but they hold the potential for closure. A final apology, acknowledgement of past mistakes, or an attempt to make amends can be both healing and necessary, offering both parties the chance to move forward, even if only in spirit. There may be lingering regrets about not having expressed certain feelings earlier, or you might find that those words of reconciliation come too late. However, regardless of when they come, words of forgiveness and understanding can offer peace, even if the wounds have not fully healed. For some, their last words may involve offering a piece of wisdom or advice. In this case, what you say could be a reflection of your experiences, an attempt to impart something meaningful to the person who remains. These words can transcend the moment and live on for years, even generations, influencing the person in ways that you might not fully anticipate. In some ways, the last words are a gift, an opportunity to leave behind something that can continue to guide someone long after the conversation has ended. For example, a parent might tell their child, "Always be kind," or "Chase your dreams," knowing that their child will carry that advice into adulthood, remembering the love and care it was given with. It is often said that we cannot predict when the last moments we share with someone will be. Life can change in an instant. An unexpected phone call, a car accident, an illness, or even an argument can mark the end of a chapter. This unpredictability can make the weight of last words even more pressing. What if you never get another chance to speak to that person again? What if the words you say are the final message they will remember from you? This is the reason why people are encouraged to make the most of the time they have with those they care about, to avoid taking people or conversations for granted. The unpredictability of life means that saying, "I love you," or "I'm sorry" today is just as important as waiting for the perfect moment to do so. Moreover, the context of last words can influence their meaning. A final exchange between a couple, for instance, can be completely different than one between a parent and a child. The former might be marked by emotions of longing and unspoken affection, while the latter may be colored by a sense of duty and protection. A last conversation between friends might be casual, a reflection of years spent together, where words are not necessarily profound, but are still a testament to the bond shared. Sometimes, the most meaningful last words are those that are simple and reflective of the relationship's everyday nature. This shows that the significance of last words is not always rooted in grand gestures, but in the authenticity of the connection between people. In the digital age, the way we communicate with others has changed significantly. With the advent of texting, social media, and online messaging, it's increasingly common for people to say their goodbyes via written words rather than in person. This shift has its own set of complexities. While it might feel more convenient, it can also feel less personal, with a sense of detachment or distance. Yet, written words can still carry deep meaning, especially when they are thoughtfully composed. Whether you are saying goodbye to someone online or in person, your words can convey your feelings, even if they are delivered through a screen or across miles. In some cases, last words are not verbal at all. Silence can be just as powerful as spoken words, conveying emotions or sentiments that words cannot capture. A touch, a hug, or a shared moment of understanding can be just as meaningful as any phrase spoken aloud. These silent exchanges often transcend language and provide a deeper connection between individuals. Ultimately, your last words to someone are a reflection of your relationship, your feelings, and your understanding of the moment. They are a chance to leave a mark, to provide closure, and to ensure that what was left unsaid is given voice, whether through love, reconciliation, or wisdom. They are a reminder of the impermanence of life and the importance of making the most of the time we have with those we care about. While the impact of those last words can be difficult to predict, one thing is certain. The final words we speak to someone are often the ones that linger in our minds long after the conversation has ended, shaping our memories, experiences, and relationships for years to come. Infinite you, infinite choices. Infinite you, infinite choices is a powerful concept that invites reflection on the limitless potential within each individual and the boundless opportunities that life presents. It suggests that within us lies an immense reservoir of possibilities, talents, and untapped potential. The idea extends far beyond the notion of a single, linear path in life. Instead, it challenges us to consider the infinite choices we have at any given moment, and the freedom to shape our own reality according to our desires, decisions, and actions. This perspective opens up a world of self-discovery and empowerment, urging us to break free from the constraints of conventional thinking and embrace the vast array of opportunities available to us. At its heart, infinite you, infinite choices emphasizes personal agency. It suggests that each of us has the power to shape our future through the decisions we make. In a world where external circumstances, societal expectations, and environmental factors often seem to define our options, this idea brings a refreshing shift, reminding us that we are not simply passive observers of our lives, but active participants in creating our own destiny. No matter where we start or where we find ourselves at any given moment, the idea of infinite choices means that there is always room for change, growth, and transformation. The concept of infinite choices invites us to step into a mindset of possibility. It challenges the common perception that life is rigid or that there is only one right path to follow. In reality, there are countless avenues to explore, paths to take, and opportunities to embrace. Whether it's in our career, relationships, or personal development, there are endless ways to reinvent ourselves and create the life we desire. This perspective encourages a sense of freedom and adventure, reminding us that the journey itself is just as important as the destination. Every choice we make, no matter how small or large, is a step toward a new possibility, a different reality. One of the most powerful aspects of infinite you, infinite choices, is the reminder that the potential within us is not fixed. Often, we are taught to believe that we are limited by our past experiences, our upbringing, or the circumstances of our environment. We may feel as though we have already chosen a path, or that the choices before us are restricted by our current situation. However, the idea of infinite choices challenges this belief, suggesting that we are capable of change at any moment. It's a reminder that who we are today is not the sum of our past decisions, but rather a starting point from which we can continue to evolve. This idea also invites us to embrace uncertainty and ambiguity, recognizing that not all choices have clear outcomes. In fact, it is often in the moments of uncertainty where the most significant growth occurs. Choosing a new direction or stepping into the unknown can be daunting, but it can also lead to unexpected discoveries about ourselves and the world around us. By embracing the infinite possibilities, we open ourselves to new experiences, new learning, and new ways of thinking. The fear of making the wrong choice can often hold us back, but infinite choices encourages us to trust in the process, understanding that every choice, whether successful or not, becomes part of the rich tapestry of our journey. The infinite nature of choices also touches on the importance of self-awareness. In order to make choices that align with our true selves, we must first understand who we are, what we value, and what we truly want out of life. Infinite choices is not just about making decisions for the sake of making them. It is about being intentional and mindful in our choices. It encourages us to listen to our inner voice, to reflect on what brings us fulfillment, and to trust ourselves in the face of uncertainty. As we become more aware of our desires and motivations, we gain clarity about the options before us, enabling us to make choices that feel authentic and true to our own path. One of the most empowering aspects of this idea is the ability to break free from societal or cultural expectations. We live in a world that often prescribes certain paths for success, whether that's a particular career, lifestyle, or set of achievements. The pressure to conform can be overwhelming, but infinite you, infinite choices, reminds us that we are not limited by these external definitions. We have the power to choose our own version of success, regardless of what others may expect of us. It's an invitation to redefine what it means to live a fulfilled life and to explore what brings us true joy and meaning. This freedom is not always easy to embrace, but it's essential for personal growth and happiness. Additionally, the idea of infinite choices fosters resilience. Life is filled with setbacks, failures, and moments of doubt. However, the knowledge that there are always more choices ahead can be a powerful motivator. It teaches us that no mistake or failure is final, and that we always have the opportunity to course correct, try again, or explore new options. When we see life as a series of infinite choices, we begin to approach challenges with greater confidence, knowing that we are not confined by any single decision. Every experience, good or bad, becomes a stepping stone on the path to our growth and self-discovery. Another dimension of infinite you, infinite choices, is its connection to creativity. The more we embrace the notion that we have endless possibilities at our disposal, the more creative we become in how we approach problems, relationships, and goals. This mindset encourages us to think outside the box, to explore new ideas, and to approach life with a sense of curiosity and innovation. When we believe that there are infinite ways to create the life we want, we open ourselves to new perspectives and solutions that we may have never considered before. In many ways, this concept also encourages a sense of responsibility. If we truly have infinite choices, it means that we have the power to shape our own futures. We are no longer at the mercy of external circumstances or waiting for someone else to dictate our lives. The onus is on us to make the choices that align with our values, goals, and desires. This sense of agency can be incredibly empowering, but it also comes with the understanding that the choices we make today have consequences. The freedom to choose comes with the responsibility to choose wisely and to be mindful of how our decisions impact not only ourselves, but the world around us. Infinite you, infinite choices, also emphasizes the importance of living in the present moment. While it's easy to become overwhelmed by the sheer number of choices available, it's important to remember that the present is the only moment we truly have. This concept reminds us to focus on the here and now, trusting that the choices we make today will shape the future. It encourages us to live authentically, to make decisions that reflect who we are right now, without constantly looking back or worrying about what lies ahead. In conclusion, infinite you, infinite choices, is a powerful reminder that we are not limited by our circumstances or past choices. Life offers us an endless array of possibilities, and it's up to us to embrace them with courage, intention, and self-awareness. By understanding that we have the power to shape our own reality, we can approach life with a sense of freedom and excitement. The infinite choices before us are not just opportunities to navigate life. They are invitations to explore the vast potential within ourselves, to create a life that aligns with our truest desires, and to recognize that we are the architects of our own destiny. Looking into the past. Looking into the past is an exploration of how the past shapes who we are today, and how our understanding of it influences the way we navigate the present and envision the future. It's an invitation to reflect on our histories, whether personal, cultural, or collective, and recognize the importance of looking back in order to move forward. While the past is no longer tangible, its impact on our lives is undeniable, and understanding this impact can offer valuable insights into the choices we make, the identities we build, and the stories we continue to tell. The concept of looking into the past is often accompanied by the desire to make sense of our experiences. Personal history shapes our beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors, and understanding where we come from can be a key to understanding who we are. From childhood memories to formative experiences, the past provides the context in which we have grown and developed. It serves as a reference point from which we gauge our progress, celebrate our successes, and learn from our mistakes. In many ways, looking into the past allows us to process and reinterpret our experiences, drawing lessons from what we have lived through, and making meaning from it. The personal aspect of looking into the past is both deeply emotional and reflective. It allows us to revisit moments in time that have left lasting imprints on our hearts and minds. Sometimes the past is a place of comfort, filled with memories of joy, laughter, and security. These recollections can be a source of strength, providing a foundation for resilience and a reminder of the love and connections that have defined our lives. However, the past can also be a place of pain, loss, or regret. In these cases, looking into the past can evoke feelings of sadness or longing, reminding us of what has been lost or what could have been different. It's important to recognize that while the past cannot be changed, it can still offer valuable lessons and insights if we approach it with an open mind and a willingness to learn. On a broader scale, looking into the past involves examining the history of the world, cultures, and societies that have come before us. Collective history is rich with stories of triumph and failure, progress and stagnation, conflict and peace. These stories, whether taught in schools, passed down through generations, or unearthed through research and exploration, provide context for our present-day world. They help us understand the patterns that have shaped civilization and offer lessons that can guide us toward a better future. The mistakes and victories of the past are often reflected in the structures and systems we live within today. And by looking back, we can gain insight into how these systems came to be and how they might be transformed for the better. Looking into the past also serves as a reminder that history is never neutral. Every historical narrative is shaped by the perspectives of those telling the story. As we reflect on the past, it's important to recognize the different voices, experiences, and truths that have often been overlooked or silenced. In this sense, looking into the past is not just about recalling events, but about questioning the narratives that have been constructed and considering whose stories have been left out. This process encourages a more nuanced and inclusive understanding of history, and it calls for a deeper examination of how the past continues to influence our present actions and attitudes. The past can also be a source of inspiration, creativity, and innovation. Many ideas, inventions, and artistic expressions are born out of a desire to connect with, reinterpret, or challenge the past. For artists, musicians, writers, and thinkers, looking into the past provides a wealth of material to explore, reimagine, and build upon. In this way, the past is not something to be dismissed or forgotten, but something to be engaged with creatively. Often, the most powerful works of art and culture are those that reflect on or respond to the past, either in celebration or in critique. However, the act of looking into the past is not always a purely nostalgic or romanticized endeavor. For some, the past can represent a time of struggle, injustice, or oppression. In these cases, looking back may serve as a call to action, urging us to recognize the injustices of history and take steps to address them in the present. This can involve acknowledging the pain of past wrongs, whether in the form of slavery, colonization, war, or discrimination, and working to heal the wounds they have left behind. By confronting the darker aspects of history, we can move toward a more just and equitable future. Furthermore, looking into the past often involves examining the choices and decisions that have led to our current circumstances. It's a reflection on how the actions of individuals and groups throughout history have created the world we live in today. By understanding the motivations and consequences of these choices, we gain a deeper understanding of our present-day challenges and conflicts. Looking back can also serve as a tool for self-awareness, as we examine the decisions we have made in our own lives and how they have shaped our personal stories. This process of reflection can be both humbling and enlightening, reminding us that our present choices are not made in a vacuum, but are deeply connected to the past. In addition to personal reflection, the past serves as a source of guidance when we find ourselves at crossroads or moments of uncertainty. When we face difficult decisions or challenges, it can be helpful to look back and ask ourselves what has worked or what hasn't worked in the past. What lessons have we learned from our experiences, and how can they inform our current choices? Similarly, the past can also help us recognize patterns in our behavior, thoughts, and relationships, offering opportunities for growth and self-improvement. By understanding the past, we gain clarity on how to navigate the present and make better informed decisions moving forward. In our modern, fast-paced world, there can be a tendency to look only to the future and to forget the importance of the past. We are often encouraged to move forward, to innovate, and to look ahead, but looking into the past offers a necessary counterbalance. It reminds us that the past holds invaluable lessons, perspectives, and connections that we must honor and understand. Whether it's through personal reflection, cultural history, or collective memory, looking into the past helps us shape our present and guides us toward a future that is grounded in understanding and awareness. Ultimately, looking into the past is not about being trapped in nostalgia or regret, but about understanding how the past has shaped who we are today and how it will continue to influence the future. It's a way of honoring our roots, acknowledging the struggles and triumphs that have brought us here, and using that understanding to move forward with greater wisdom and compassion. In this way, looking into the past becomes not just an exercise in reflection, but a powerful tool for growth, healing, and transformation. It encourages us to carry the lessons of the past with us, using them as a guide to create a future that is more informed, more connected, and more compassionate. The fleeting youngest person. The fleeting youngest person reflects on the nature of youth, time, and the inevitability of change. Youth is often seen as a time of endless possibilities, vibrancy, and potential, but it is also fleeting, a moment in life that, once passed, cannot be recaptured. This concept explores the paradox of being the youngest person in any given situation or moment. While youth represents energy, growth, and learning, it is also constantly slipping away, making the youngest person someone who is always changing. From the moment we are born, we are the youngest person, but each day, as we grow, we lose that title, passing it on to someone else. The idea of the fleeting youngest reminds us of the transient nature of life and the inevitability of aging. One of the most defining aspects of youth is its brevity. The youthful experience is often framed by society as a time of exploration, self-discovery, and learning. As children, we are constantly discovering the world around us, filled with curiosity and wonder. Adolescence brings the challenge of self-identity, where we begin to form our beliefs, values, and passions. Young adults are tasked with finding their place in the world, making important decisions about careers, relationships, and their overall direction in life. In these moments, being the youngest person, whether in a family, a social group, or even at work, can carry a sense of both promise and vulnerability. There is the pressure to prove oneself, to make an impact, and to build a foundation for the future. At the same time, the fleeting nature of youth can be unsettling. Youth can often feel like something to be protected, cherished, and celebrated, but it is always in motion. The passing of each day brings us closer to losing that position as the youngest, and it is often only in hindsight that we realize how quickly time moves. In a way, the youngest title is a constant reminder of our fleeting nature, making us acutely aware of time's passage. It forces us to reckon with the reality that, like all things, youth is impermanent, and that it will eventually give way to a new phase of life. The concept of the fleeting youngest also touches on the cyclical nature of existence. As individuals grow in age, the roles we occupy shift and change. We become the eldest, the mentor, the experienced ones, as younger generations come into their own. This is a reminder that youth, while fleeting, is always being renewed. The youngest person today will one day be the elder, and the cycle will continue. This dynamic, while inevitable, can bring about a sense of both loss and continuity. For those who have grown older, the realization that they are no longer the youngest person can evoke nostalgia for the past, for the sense of energy and possibility that youth represents. Yet, there is also a sense of pride in witnessing the new generation take on the mantle of the youngest person, carrying forward the legacy of what came before. At a societal level, being the youngest person often carries both privileges and challenges. Youth is often celebrated in popular culture as a time of beauty, creativity, and potential. However, the pressure to live up to the idealized image of youth can be overwhelming. In many cultures, there is a premium placed on youth, leading to a desire to preserve it, whether through cosmetic surgery, youth-oriented media, or the cultural emphasis on staying young for as long as possible. Yet, this fixation on youth can also overshadow the wisdom, experience, and growth that come with aging. It's important to recognize that the fleeting nature of youth doesn't diminish its value, nor does it mean that one must constantly chase after it. The idea of the fleeting youngest also prompts a reflection on our relationship with time. Youth often feels like a time when the future is wide open, filled with limitless possibilities. But as time passes, the future can become more uncertain, and the sense of urgency to accomplish things can increase. The awareness that we are no longer the youngest person in a given context can sometimes bring a sense of pressure to achieve, to fulfill our potential before time runs out. This can lead to a feeling of anxiety about wasted time or missed opportunities. However, it is also a reminder that every stage of life has its own unique value and purpose. While youth may pass quickly, the wisdom gained from each stage of life can enrich the future in ways that youth alone cannot. The fleeting nature of youth is also a reminder of the impermanence of all things in life. Just as we are born, grow, and become the youngest, we will eventually move through the other stages of life, and the youngest will be someone else. This sense of impermanence can be both humbling and liberating. It encourages us to appreciate the present moment, to embrace the time we have, and to make the most of our current phase in life. Rather than focusing on the passage of time or lamenting the loss of youth, we can focus on living fully in the present, knowing that each phase of life has something valuable to offer. As we reflect on the fleeting youngest person, it's important to remember that youth is not just a physical state, but also a mindset. While we may physically age, the spirit of youth, curiosity, wonder, passion, and vitality can continue throughout life. The essence of being young is not limited to age, and those who approach life with an open heart and a willingness to learn can maintain their youthful energy well into later years. The fleeting youngest serves as a reminder that youth is both a passing phase and an enduring quality, and that we can choose to carry its essence with us no matter where we are in life. In conclusion, The Fleeting Youngest Person offers a reflection on the transient nature of youth and the inevitable passage of time. It reminds us of the vitality, growth, and potential that come with being the youngest, while also acknowledging that this position is always in flux. Time moves forward, and each stage of life brings new challenges, opportunities, and perspectives. The fleeting nature of youth teaches us to appreciate the present moment, embrace the lessons of every stage of life, and recognize the endless possibilities for growth and reinvention. As we move through the various phases of life, we can continue to embody the spirit of youth, constantly evolving and discovering new paths forward. AI and the Meaning of Emotion. AI and the Meaning of Emotion explores the intersection between artificial intelligence and one of the most fundamental aspects of the human experience: emotion. Emotions are integral to how humans navigate the world, form relationships, and make decisions. They influence our perceptions, behaviors, and interactions in ways that are complex and often unpredictable. On the other hand, artificial intelligence, despite its growing capabilities, has historically been seen as a rational and emotionless force. This raises the intriguing question: can AI truly understand or replicate human emotions? And if so, what does that mean for the future of both technology and humanity? At the heart of this question lies the concept of what emotions actually are. Emotions are often thought of as internal reactions to external stimuli. They arise from our thoughts, experiences, memories, and biological processes. They can be immediate and visceral, shaped by instinct or long-standing beliefs, and they often drive us to act in ways that may not always be logical, but are deeply human. For example, love, fear, anger, joy, and sadness are not just intellectual responses, but bodily experiences that influence our behavior and decisions. Emotions often serve to communicate our internal state to others, fostering connection and empathy, or sometimes leading to conflict. They are intrinsically tied to our sense of self and our interactions with others. Artificial intelligence, by contrast, is based on algorithms, data processing, and machine learning. AI systems are designed to analyze and interpret data, recognize patterns, and make predictions or decisions based on that information. While AI has made tremendous strides in tasks such as natural language processing, image recognition, and autonomous decision-making, it lacks the subjective experience that characterizes human emotions. An AI can detect patterns in emotional data, such as recognizing a person's tone of voice or facial expression, but it does not feel those emotions. In essence, AI is a tool designed to simulate certain aspects of human behavior and cognition, but it does not share the same emotional experiences that humans do. However, there are significant developments in the field of AI that challenge the traditional understanding of emotion. Emotional AI, also known as affective computing, seeks to create systems that can recognize, interpret, and respond to human emotions in a way that mimics emotional understanding. This technology has applications in areas such as customer service, mental health, and human-computer interaction, where AI can analyze emotional cues like facial expressions, voice tone, and body language to respond more empathetically or appropriately. For example, virtual assistants and chatbots are increasingly able to recognize frustration or happiness in a user's voice and adjust their responses accordingly. This development raises the question: does AI's ability to mimic emotional responses indicate an understanding of emotions, or is it simply an imitation designed to improve user interaction? The key difference between AI and humans when it comes to emotions lies in the concept of consciousness. While AI can simulate emotional responses, it does so without any awareness or subjective experience. Human emotions are deeply connected to consciousness, our ability to experience and reflect on our inner state. Emotions are not just reactions. They are experiences that provide insight into our values, needs, and desires. They shape our understanding of the world and ourselves. AI, no matter how advanced, lacks this internal world of subjective experience. It may process emotional data and respond in ways that appear empathetic, but it does so without the capacity for genuine emotional understanding. Despite this distinction, the development of emotional AI raises important ethical and philosophical questions. If AI systems can effectively mimic human emotions, how should they be treated? Should we be concerned about the potential manipulation of emotions by AI systems, especially in areas like advertising, politics, and entertainment? The ability to influence human emotions is a powerful tool, and if AI can use emotional cues to influence behavior, it raises questions about consent, privacy, and accountability. Furthermore, as AI becomes more sophisticated in mimicking emotions, there is a concern that humans might start to attribute genuine emotional understanding to machines. This could lead to a blurring of the line between human and machine, potentially eroding our understanding of what it means to be truly human. On a deeper level, the question of AI and emotion invites us to reconsider the role of emotions in the first place. Emotions are often viewed as irrational or unreliable in traditional systems of logic and decision-making. In the past, reason and emotion were seen as opposing forces, with reason being elevated as the more superior and objective way of thinking. However, recent research in fields such as psychology, neuroscience, and philosophy has challenged this dichotomy. Emotions are increasingly recognized as playing a vital role in decision-making, problem-solving, and social bonding. They help us navigate complex situations and make choices that are not just rational, but also aligned with our values and experiences. Emotions provide meaning to our lives. They are what make experiences rich and deeply personal. This realization challenges the idea that AI, which operates purely on logic and computation, can never truly replicate the depth of human experience. Furthermore, the integration of AI into our daily lives raises the question of whether emotional AI could become an integral part of human existence. As AI becomes more involved in areas such as healthcare, education, and social media, it may be asked to assist in understanding and addressing human emotional needs. For instance, AI-powered tools that help individuals manage stress, anxiety, or depression could become more effective if they can recognize and respond to emotional cues. However, this raises concerns about reliance on technology for emotional support, as AI's understanding of emotions is limited and based on patterns rather than true empathy. Would we begin to rely on AI for emotional validation, potentially losing touch with the real human connections that are crucial for emotional well-being? AI and the meaning of emotion also touches on the potential for AI to change the way we understand human emotions. As we develop systems that can simulate or understand emotional data, we may gain new insights into how emotions function and how they influence our behavior. AI could become a tool for studying and analyzing emotional patterns on a scale that was previously impossible, helping researchers explore the complexities of human emotions in ways that might be transformative. At the same time, the development of AI that can simulate emotion also forces us to confront the limitations of our understanding of what it means to be human. If an artificial system can replicate emotional responses, does this mean that emotions are simply a set of responses to stimuli? Or is there something fundamentally unique about human emotion that cannot be replicated by machines? Mirrors and true reflection. Mirrors and true reflection delves into the metaphorical and literal meanings of mirrors, exploring their role in self-perception, identity, and the search for authenticity. In everyday life, mirrors serve a practical purpose. They reflect our physical appearance, helping us adjust and prepare ourselves before facing the world. However, mirrors also hold a deeper, symbolic significance. They invite introspection and self-examination, often leading us to question not only how we look, but also who we are and how we perceive ourselves. The notion of a true reflection becomes central to this exploration. What does it mean to see an accurate representation of oneself? And how does this reflection shape our sense of identity and worth? The literal function of a mirror is simple. It reflects light and gives us an image of ourselves. Whether it's a handheld mirror or a full-length mirror, we rely on these reflective surfaces to provide us with a visual representation of our outward appearance. This is the most immediate and obvious form of reflection. However, mirrors are not always perfect reflections. Imperfections in the mirror's surface, lighting, or angle can distort the image we see. Similarly, our perceptions of ourselves can be influenced by external factors, like cultural standards of beauty, societal expectations, or the opinions of others. The reflection we see in the mirror is thus not always a true reflection, but a filtered version, shaped by the lens through which we view ourselves. The metaphor of mirrors extends beyond the physical to represent self-awareness and the internal process of self-reflection. A mirror can be seen as a tool for introspection, a way of examining not just our appearance but also our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. The act of standing before a mirror can prompt deeper questions. Do we like what we see? Are we satisfied with who we have become? Are we truly being ourselves, or are we conforming to others' expectations? These questions touch on the search for authenticity, a central theme in the quest for a true reflection. In this sense, a true reflection is more than a mere image. It is a deeper understanding of oneself. It involves seeing beyond the surface and confronting our inner selves with honesty and clarity. Achieving a true reflection requires an acceptance of both our strengths and our flaws. It involves looking at ourselves without the distortion of societal pressures, idealized standards, or self-criticism. The search for this authenticity is often a lifelong journey, as our understanding of ourselves evolves with time and experience. The concept of a true reflection is not static. It changes as we grow, learn, and adapt. What we see in the mirror at one point in life may be different from what we see at another stage. This is particularly true when we undergo significant personal changes, such as shifts in our beliefs, values, or circumstances. The true reflection, then, becomes a dynamic process, one that requires ongoing self-exploration and self-acceptance. It is not a fixed image, but rather an evolving understanding of who we are and how we fit into the world around us. At the same time, mirrors can also symbolize the way we present ourselves to the world. We often look in the mirror not only to check our appearance, but to prepare ourselves for social interactions. The mirror becomes a tool for managing how we are perceived by others. In this way, the reflection we see in the mirror is not just a private self-examination, but also a representation of how we want to be seen by the world. This can create a tension between the self we present and the self we truly are. The true reflection, in this context, might not be what we present outwardly, but the deeper, truer self that lies beneath the surface. Mirrors also have a historical and cultural significance that adds layers to their symbolic meaning. Throughout literature, art, and philosophy, mirrors have often been associated with themes of vanity, self-deception, and the search for truth. The famous myth of Narcissus, who fell in love with his own reflection, illustrates the danger of becoming too absorbed in the image we see in the mirror. It warns against the pitfalls of self-obsession and the inability to look beyond the surface. Similarly, mirrors have often been used as symbols in art and literature to explore the tension between appearance and reality, between how we perceive ourselves and how we truly are. These cultural representations suggest that the true reflection is not always easy to see, and sometimes we must look deeper or more honestly to uncover it. In modern times, mirrors have taken on new roles in the age of digital technology and social media. The proliferation of smartphones and social media platforms has created new ways of reflecting and presenting ourselves. Selfies, filters, and curated profiles allow us to control how we are seen by others, offering a digital mirror that reflects not just our image, but our constructed persona. This phenomenon raises new questions about authenticity. Are the reflections we see online or in selfies true representations of who we are, or are they distorted versions shaped by filters, editing, and the desire for validation? In this context, the true reflection becomes even more elusive, as the lines between the real and the ideal blur in the digital realm. The idea of a true reflection is also tied to how we relate to others. Our interactions with family, friends, and society play a crucial role in shaping our sense of self. Others often serve as mirrors, reflecting back to us how we are perceived and how we fit into the social fabric. However, this external reflection can also be distorted by the biases and judgments of those around us. A true reflection, in this sense, requires not just internal honesty, but also the ability to discern how much of our self-worth is shaped by external influences. It involves finding a balance between the image we project and the person we truly are. At a deeper philosophical level, mirrors and true reflection also raises questions about the nature of identity itself. What does it mean to have a true identity? Is there one true version of ourselves, or are we constantly changing, evolving, and shifting based on our experiences? Some philosophical perspectives argue that identity is fluid and multifaceted, suggesting that the true reflection is not a singular fixed image, but a collection of roles, experiences, and perspectives that define who we are at any given moment. Ultimately, the search for a true reflection is a journey of self-discovery. It requires us to confront our vulnerabilities, question our assumptions, and embrace both our strengths and weaknesses. While mirrors may offer a glimpse of our outward appearance, the true reflection lies in our ability to look beyond the surface and understand ourselves in a deeper, more authentic way. It is a reflection not just of how we look, but of who we are, how we feel, and how we relate to the world around us. As we continue to navigate the complexities of identity, self-perception, and authenticity, the mirror serves as both a tool and a metaphor, helping us to uncover and embrace the truest version of ourselves. Would you change the past? Would you change the past delves into one of the most enduring and philosophical questions humans have grappled with. If given the chance, would we change the past? This question touches on themes of regret, fate, free will, and the inherent consequences of our decisions. Our past, both personal and collective, shapes who we are today, and yet many of us harbor moments or periods we wish we could alter. The temptation to rewrite history, to undo mistakes or correct perceived wrongs, can be overwhelming. But this question also raises deeper considerations about the nature of time, the complexities of human experience, and the potential ramifications of tampering with what has already occurred. On a personal level, the idea of changing the past often revolves around specific moments or decisions that stand out as missteps or sources of regret. Maybe it's a choice we made in a relationship, an opportunity we missed, or a path we didn't take. These instances often linger in our minds, shaping how we view ourselves and our present circumstances. The notion of going back in time and making a different decision can be alluring, offering the promise of a better outcome, of avoiding pain or disappointment. But would changing these moments truly lead to a better life, or would it simply create new challenges, consequences, or regrets? This is where the complexity of the question lies. What might seem like a small change in the past could ripple through time, creating a series of unintended consequences that we cannot predict or fully understand. The desire to change the past often stems from feelings of regret or guilt, which are natural human emotions. Regret arises when we perceive that a choice we made led to a negative outcome, and guilt follows when we believe our actions caused harm to others. The past becomes a space of what-ifs, where we imagine alternative scenarios where our decisions were different, and thus our current reality might be more favorable. But these feelings, while powerful, can also be paralyzing. Focusing too much on the past can prevent us from fully engaging in the present and moving forward. It is important to recognize that our mistakes, while regrettable, are part of what has made us who we are today. The lessons learned from past errors are often what shape our character and guide our future decisions. The concept of changing the past also touches on the idea of fate and free will. If we could go back and alter a significant event, would we be altering the course of our lives in ways we cannot foresee? Would we still become the person we are today? Or would we be fundamentally different? Some philosophers argue that our lives are shaped by a series of events and decisions that are part of a larger, deterministic flow of time, while others believe in free will, the idea that we have the power to change our circumstances through conscious choices. The possibility of changing the past raises the question of whether our lives are the result of a set series of events, or if we have the power to reshape our destiny. If we could change a key moment in time, would it change the essence of who we are and our life's journey? From a broader perspective, changing the past also brings into question the nature of history itself. History is not just the sum of individual experiences, but also a collective narrative that shapes cultures, societies, and civilizations. If we could change key moments in history, would we be improving the world, or would we be erasing the experiences and struggles that have led to progress and growth? The history of humanity is filled with moments of suffering, injustice, and tragedy, but it is also a history of triumph, resilience, and change. The idea of altering history suggests that we might be trying to create a world where pain and hardship are avoided, but this is also to ignore the ways in which these very experiences have shaped human progress. Would we be willing to erase the suffering that has led to the lessons and growth that define humanity? Additionally, there are practical concerns about the consequences of changing the past. The butterfly effect, a concept popularized in chaos theory, suggests that small changes in the past can lead to massive and unpredictable consequences in the present. A single decision could alter the course of entire lives, or even entire societies. If we changed something in the past, there is no way of knowing how that might alter our present lives, our relationships, or the world around us. Would a change to the past lead to a better life, or would it result in a world that is entirely unfamiliar to us, filled with new challenges and outcomes we could never have anticipated? The uncertainty of these potential outcomes makes the idea of changing the past more complicated than it initially seems. Moreover, the idea of changing the past often arises from a desire for closure. There are times when we wish we could go back and fix something to give ourselves peace of mind or to heal emotional wounds. Whether it's undoing a mistake that hurt a loved one or preventing a personal failure, the idea of changing the past can seem like a way to ease the pain we carry with us. However, closure and healing do not necessarily come from altering past events. Often, the process of healing involves coming to terms with the past as it is, accepting that mistakes were made, and finding a way to move forward with the lessons learned. The pursuit of closure can sometimes prevent us from embracing the growth and wisdom that come from acknowledging and accepting our mistakes as part of our journey. In fiction, the idea of changing the past is a popular theme in time travel stories. where characters are given the ability to travel back and alter key events. These stories often explore the consequences of tampering with time, showing that even the smallest change can lead to dramatic and unforeseen shifts in the present. While these fictional scenarios may not be possible in real life, they serve as a reminder of the unpredictability of time and the complexity of our decisions. In these stories, characters often realize that changing the past doesn't necessarily make things better, and sometimes it makes things worse. So, would you change the past? The answer is far from simple. It involves a deep exploration of who we are, what we value, and how we understand the forces that shape our lives. It involves a recognition that while regret and guilt are natural, they are also opportunities for growth and learning. The past cannot be changed, but how we perceive it and how we allow it to shape us moving forward is within our control. Our mistakes are part of what makes us human, and the challenges we face in the present can often lead to greater resilience, understanding, and wisdom. While the temptation to change the past may never fully go away, it is important to remember that it is the present and the future that are within our grasp, and it is through our choices today that we can shape the world we want to live in tomorrow. Unconscious actions. Unconscious actions explores the fascinating and often mysterious realm of human behavior that occurs outside of our conscious awareness. These actions, which are not consciously willed or directed, are part of the vast landscape of the unconscious mind. They are the movements, habits, and behaviors that happen without intentional thought or deliberate control. Whether it's the way we speak, walk, or interact with others, many of our actions are influenced by factors beyond our conscious mind. Understanding unconscious actions brings insight into the ways our mind works and the subtle forces that drive us in ways we may not fully understand. At the heart of unconscious actions lies the idea of the unconscious mind itself, a concept first introduced by Sigmund Freud. Freud argued that much of human behavior is shaped by thoughts, memories, and desires that lie outside our conscious awareness. The unconscious mind, according to Freud, stores repressed memories, desires, and emotions that influence our behavior without us realizing it. These unconscious processes can manifest in various ways, including dreams, slips of the tongue, and even actions we take in our everyday lives without thinking. Unconscious actions, then, are seen as a way in which our inner desires, fears, and past experiences come to the surface and affect how we behave, often without us realizing it. One of the most common examples of unconscious actions are habits. Habits are behaviors that become automatic through repetition and are performed without conscious thought. Whether it's brushing your teeth, biting your nails, or driving a familiar route, these actions become so ingrained that we often perform them without even thinking about them. Habits are created when a behavior is repeated consistently over time, and the brain forms neural pathways that make the action easier to perform in the future. The more frequently a behavior is repeated, the less we need to actively focus on it. While some habits are benign or even beneficial, others can be detrimental, such as smoking, overeating, or other unhealthy behaviors. These unconscious actions are shaped by past experiences and repeated patterns, often making it challenging to change them. Another example of unconscious actions occurs in social interactions. Have you ever noticed yourself mirroring the gestures, tone of voice, or body language of the person you are speaking to? This phenomenon, known as mirroring, is an unconscious behavior that helps establish rapport and connection between individuals. We may not be aware that we are doing it, but these subtle actions can have a significant impact on how we communicate and relate to others. Mirroring is an unconscious response that fosters empathy and emotional connection, helping us build relationships and communicate effectively. In addition to mirroring, unconscious actions can also be seen in the way we react to stress, anxiety, or emotional triggers. Often, when faced with a stressful situation, we may react impulsively or without thinking, such as clenching our fists, pacing, or even withdrawing from others. These reactions are not consciously chosen, but are instead automatic responses to the emotions or stress we are experiencing. The body and mind are wired to react to certain situations in ways that are often beyond our conscious control. In many cases, these unconscious reactions are deeply rooted in past experiences and the emotional patterns we have developed over time. The role of the unconscious in influencing our behavior also extends to decision-making. While we like to think of ourselves as rational beings who make decisions based on logical thought and reasoning, much of our decision-making occurs unconsciously. Studies in psychology and neuroscience have shown that we often make decisions before we are consciously aware of them. For example, research has shown that when people are presented with a choice, the brain often decides which option to choose before the person is consciously aware of it. This suggests that unconscious processes are playing a significant role in shaping our decisions, often in ways that we do not fully understand. Unconscious actions are not always driven by deep psychological processes or past trauma, however. Some unconscious behaviors are simply the result of our environment and the context in which we find ourselves. For instance, when we are immersed in a familiar environment, such as our home or workplace, we may engage in a variety of unconscious actions. These can include moving around the space without thinking, completing tasks without fully focusing on them, or responding to stimuli in a habitual way. Our brains are constantly processing information and responding to the environment around us, and many of these responses happen outside of our conscious awareness. This allows us to navigate the world efficiently without needing to deliberate over every single action. The existence of unconscious actions also raises important questions about control and free will. If much of our behavior is driven by unconscious processes, how much control do we really have over our actions? Are we the masters of our own behavior, or are we simply acting out patterns and reactions that have been shaped by external influences and internal programming? These questions touch on fundamental philosophical debates about the nature of consciousness and free will. While we may have the ability to reflect on our actions and make conscious choices, unconscious actions suggest that there are forces at work beyond our immediate awareness that influence how we behave. In many ways, the unconscious mind is like an unseen driver that steers us in particular directions, often without our realizing it. Understanding unconscious actions can also provide valuable insights into personal growth and self-awareness. By becoming more aware of our unconscious habits and reactions, we can begin to identify patterns that may not be serving us well. For example, if we notice that we often react defensively in certain situations, it may be an indication of deeper emotional triggers or unresolved issues. By bringing these unconscious reactions into conscious awareness, we can start to make more deliberate choices about how we respond. Similarly, understanding the role of unconscious actions in our relationships can help us become more mindful of the ways we communicate and interact with others, allowing for more authentic and meaningful connections. In therapy, the exploration of unconscious actions is an important part of understanding and addressing psychological challenges. Many therapeutic techniques, such as psychoanalysis, aim to uncover unconscious thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that may be influencing a person's mental health. By bringing these unconscious elements into conscious awareness, individuals can work through unresolved issues and make more intentional choices moving forward. Techniques such as mindfulness and cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, also focus on increasing awareness of unconscious patterns and helping individuals make more conscious decisions about their behavior. While unconscious actions can sometimes be a source of frustration or confusion, they are also an essential part of our psychological makeup. They reflect the complex interplay between our past experiences, our emotions, and our environment. By gaining a deeper understanding of these unconscious processes, we can begin to better understand ourselves and the forces that shape our behavior. This awareness allows us to break free from unhelpful patterns, embrace healthier habits, and live more consciously and intentionally. In the end, unconscious actions are not just a reflection of what lies beneath our awareness. They are a vital part of what makes us human and provide rich material for personal growth, self-reflection, and transformation. Remembering the future. Remembering the future is a concept that challenges conventional ideas of time, memory, and experience. It suggests a paradoxical notion. What if the future could be remembered? Not as something that lies ahead of us, but as something already known or experienced. In traditional thinking, memory is a process that allows us to recall past events and experiences. We look backward in time to retrieve information and make sense of our past. However, remembering the future turns this idea on its head, inviting us to consider the possibility that our awareness of what is to come might be more ingrained in our consciousness than we realize. The idea of remembering the future can be seen as a metaphor for how we anticipate, predict, and plan for the events that lie ahead of us. In everyday life, we often imagine what the future holds and reflect on how our actions today might influence our tomorrow. These anticipations are not necessarily based on specific memories of future events, but rather on patterns, experiences, and projections of what might come. From a psychological perspective, the process of remembering the future is akin to the act of forecasting, a mechanism that helps us prepare for what lies ahead based on our current understanding of the world. This idea resonates with the belief that our brain is constantly trying to make sense of time, forming predictions and mental models to navigate the unknown. Our ability to remember the future is also tied to the human capacity for imagination and foresight. Human beings possess a unique ability to project themselves into the future and visualize possible outcomes. This foresight is not a literal memory of the future, but an exercise in imagination and prediction. We often make plans, set goals, and strategize based on our ability to envision what may come to pass. In this sense, the future is something we mentally rehearse, anticipating various scenarios before they unfold. These projections shape our decisions and actions, allowing us to make choices that are informed by our imagined versions of the future. When we remember the future, it is not a recollection of events that have already occurred, but an active process of mental simulation, where we prepare ourselves for possibilities that are yet to be realized. This concept of remembering the future also ties into the philosophical exploration of time. Time, as we understand it, is typically seen as linear, moving from the past to the present and then into the future. However, theories such as those in the realm of quantum physics or the nature of consciousness often question this linear progression, suggesting that our understanding of time may be more fluid and interconnected. The idea that the future might be remembered challenges the notion of time as a one-way street. It opens up possibilities for alternate perceptions of temporal experience, where the boundaries between past, present, and future are not as rigid as they may seem. One avenue in which this paradox becomes particularly relevant is in the realm of precognition or psychic phenomena. Throughout history, there have been accounts of individuals who claim to have experienced visions or impressions of future events before they occur. While such phenomena have not been conclusively proven, they highlight the fascinating notion that perhaps our consciousness is attuned to future possibilities in ways that we do not fully understand. These experiences often lead to the idea that time might not be as linear or confined to a single direction as we assume. If the future can be remembered in some form, it suggests a more interconnected relationship with time, one in which the future is not a distant unknown, but something that can be experienced before it happens. In a more practical sense, remembering the future can be related to our daily experiences of anticipating or mentally rehearsing future events. For instance, when preparing for an important meeting, we might mentally rehearse our talking points, imagine potential outcomes, or even envision how we will feel during the event. In a sense, we are remembering what is yet to happen, drawing on our mental and emotional faculties to anticipate future experiences. This kind of mental rehearsal helps us prepare emotionally and cognitively for events that lie ahead. The practice of remembering the future is not so much about predicting with certainty what will happen, but about preparing ourselves for the unknown by utilizing our imagination and experience. The notion of remembering the future is also deeply intertwined with the human experience of hope, anxiety, and expectation. As we think about the future, we often do so with a mix of excitement and uncertainty. Our hopes for what might come are shaped by our desires, dreams, and aspirations, while our anxieties are often rooted in the fear of the unknown and the possibility of failure or loss. In this sense, we constantly carry visions of the future in our minds, sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously, that shape our present-day behavior and outlook. These future projections, whether positive or negative, are forms of memory that influence the way we approach life, often guiding our decisions and actions. The way we remember the future, therefore, can have a profound impact on how we experience the present. Psychologically, remembering the future can also be explored in the context of memory and how the mind works. Memory is a dynamic and reconstructive process, not a static recording of past events. Our memories are influenced by various factors, including our current emotions, beliefs, and expectations. It is not uncommon for individuals to interpret past events through the lens of their present circumstances, giving rise to the phenomenon of false memories or distorted recollections. This same process may be at play when it comes to anticipating the future. Just as our memories of the past are shaped by our present reality, our visions of the future may also be influenced by our desires, fears, and preconceived notions. When we remember the future, we are essentially projecting our current state of mind onto the unknown, creating a mental image of what might be based on what we already know or believe. Furthermore, the idea of remembering the future touches on the human desire for control and certainty. In a world where much of the future is uncertain and unpredictable, the act of projecting ourselves into the future can be an attempt to regain a sense of control over what is to come. Whether through planning, goal setting, or simply imagining different scenarios, we create mental memories of what we hope or expect the future to look like. This process provides us with a sense of direction and purpose, even though the actual future may unfold in ways that are beyond our control. It is through our ability to imagine the future and envision what could be that we are able to navigate the uncertainties of life. Remembering the future is not just a mental exercise, it also has practical implications for how we live our lives. By envisioning different future outcomes, we are able to make more informed decisions, set realistic goals, and prepare for potential challenges. The future, while unknown, is not a void. It is a space we constantly fill with our hopes, fears, and expectations. Whether we are aware of it or not, we are always remembering the future, drawing on our past experiences, our current thoughts, and our desires to shape what we believe lies ahead. In this way, the future is not something distant or abstract, but a part of our ongoing mental and emotional landscape, constantly shaping who we are in the present. In conclusion, remembering the future is a profound concept that invites us to rethink our relationship with time and consciousness. It explores the idea that our perceptions of the future are not just speculative or imagined, but are deeply intertwined with our present thoughts, desires, and emotional states. The future, in this sense, is not a separate entity waiting to unfold, but something that is already embedded in our consciousness, shaping our present-day experiences and guiding our decisions. By examining how we remember the future, we gain insight into the ways in which we navigate the unknown, prepare for the uncertain, and continuously shape our lives with the projections we make about what is yet to come. Would past you recognize present you? Would past you recognize present you? Is a compelling question that invites reflection on personal growth, change, and the passage of time. It challenges us to consider how much we evolve over the course of our lives, how the person we once were is both familiar and strange to the person we have become. The question encapsulates a deep philosophical inquiry into identity, self-perception, and the fluidity of who we are. It asks us to look at ourselves not just from a present perspective, but through the lens of who we used to be, and in doing so, invites us to examine how much we have changed, for better or for worse. The idea of past and present selves is rooted in the concept of identity, which is not static but constantly shifting and developing. As we move through life, we accumulate experiences, learn new things, and face challenges that shape who we are. These experiences leave an imprint on our character, values, and behaviors, which may diverge significantly from the person we were in the past. In many ways, we are not the same person we were a year ago, 5 years ago, or 10 years ago. Our thoughts, desires, and goals evolve, sometimes in ways we don't even recognize until we reflect on the distance between where we are now and where we once were. One of the first things that comes to mind when considering whether past you would recognize present you is how much your values and beliefs have shifted over time. As we age and experience life, our understanding of the world deepens, and we often reassess the beliefs we once held as truths. For example, past versions of ourselves might have had strong opinions on topics like career choices, relationships, politics, or personal success. Over time, however, new experiences and perspectives can soften or even completely change these opinions. Past, you may have been certain about the path you wanted to take, the goals you wanted to achieve, or the people you wanted in your life. But the present, you may have undergone a significant shift in priorities. It's possible that past, you would be surprised at how your current life looks or the values you now hold dear. Similarly, our emotional responses and coping mechanisms also change over time, often in ways we don't realize until we look back. Past, you might have been more reactive, more impatient, or more idealistic, whereas present, you may have developed a greater sense of patience, resilience, or pragmatism. The challenges we face and the way we respond to them shape our emotional growth. Past, you may have found certain obstacles overwhelming, whereas present, you might approach the same problems with a sense of calm or a different strategy. In this way, past, you might be surprised by how much you've grown emotionally, how you've learned to handle stress, or how you've changed your approach to relationships and personal struggles. One of the most striking aspects of whether past you would recognize present you is how we change our behaviors and habits over time. As we grow older, we develop new routines, behaviors, and ways of interacting with the world. These changes are often gradual, and sometimes we don't even notice them until we reflect on them. For example, past you might have been impulsive or more spontaneous, while present you may have become more structured or disciplined. Conversely, past you may have been more focused on career ambitions and achievements, while now you might place more emphasis on family, health, or personal growth. In this sense, the change in behavior could be one of the most telling differences between the past and present selves. Habits, both positive and negative, shape who we are and who we become. The way we conduct our daily lives, the choices we make, and the way we interact with others evolve with our personal development. The past self may look at present you with both pride and surprise, recognizing how much progress you've made, or perhaps how certain traits have been left behind. The relationships we form also contribute to this question. Past, you may have had different friends, romantic partners, or social circles than present you. As we grow older, we tend to outgrow certain relationships, form new ones, and learn who is truly supportive or compatible with our evolving identity. Past, you may have surrounded yourself with people who no longer align with your current values or aspirations. Present, you might prioritize different types of relationships, whether it's stronger connections with family, new friendships, or a focus on more meaningful, authentic interactions. This shift in relationships is another area where the past self may feel unfamiliar with the present. The people who were once central to your life may no longer play that role, and the relationships that matter now may not even have existed in your past. The question also raises the issue of self-awareness. Over time, we tend to become more self-aware, understanding our strengths, weaknesses, and desires more clearly. Past, you might have had a more superficial understanding of who you were, while present, you may have a more complex or nuanced sense of self. This growth in self-awareness can come from introspection, therapy, or simply experiencing the ups and downs of life. As we age, we are often forced to confront aspects of ourselves that we may have ignored or misunderstood in the past. These insights into our own behavior, motivations, and patterns can lead to significant shifts in how we navigate the world. Past, you might have struggled with self-doubt or uncertainty, whereas present, you might have developed a more grounded, confident sense of self. While it's clear that time changes us, the question of whether past you would recognize present you also touches on the idea of continuity. Despite the many ways we change, there is often a thread of continuity that runs through our lives. This continuity may manifest in certain core aspects of our personality, values, interests, and passions that endure even as the external aspects of our life evolve. It's possible that past you would still recognize certain familiar traits in present you, even though many other things have shifted. Whether it's your sense of humor, your love for a particular activity, or your deep-seated values, these aspects of self often persist despite changes in other areas of life. This continuity can be comforting, as it reminds us that no matter how much we change, there are still parts of us that remain fundamentally the same. While it's clear that time changes us, the question of whether past you would recognize present you also touches on the idea of continuity. Despite the many ways we change, there is often a thread of continuity that runs through our lives. This continuity may manifest in certain core aspects of our personality, values, interests, and passions that endure even as the external aspects of our life evolve. It's possible that past you would still recognize certain familiar traits in present you, even though many other things have shifted. Whether it's your sense of humor, your love for a particular activity, or your deep-seated values, these aspects of self often persist despite changes in other areas of life. This continuity can be comforting, as it reminds us that no matter how much we change, there are still parts of us that remain fundamentally the same. In terms of the future, this question can also help us project who we might become. If we're able to reflect on how much we've changed and the ways we continue to evolve, we can ask ourselves where we want to go next. Would future you look back at present you and see another series of transformations? Just as past, you might not fully recognize the present, The future, you may be a more evolved version of who you are today, with new insights and experiences that alter the way you think, feel, and act. In conclusion, would past you recognize present you? Is more than just a question about physical appearance or external circumstances. It's a deep reflection on identity, personal growth, and the passage of time. The person you were in the past is a version of yourself shaped by different experiences, different challenges, and different goals. While past, you might be surprised by how much you've changed. It's important to recognize that those changes are part of the natural process of growing and evolving. The person you are now is not a departure from the past, but a continuation of it, shaped by the lessons you've learned and the choices you've made. Ultimately, past you might not fully recognize present you, but in many ways, present you is the result of the journey that began long ago. Are you still the same person? Are you still the same person? Is a thought-provoking question that delves into the nature of identity and how it evolves over time. At first glance, it may seem straightforward, but as you begin to reflect, it opens up a complex exploration of who we are, how we change, and how we perceive ourselves across different stages of life. The question challenges us to consider the continuity of our identity, whether we remain the same person throughout our lives, or if we constantly transform into someone different based on experiences, choices, and circumstances. To begin understanding this question, it's essential to examine what we mean by the same person. Is being the same person tied to our physical appearance, our personality traits, our memories, or the decisions we've made? Do we remain the same when we continue to carry the same values and core beliefs? Or is there a deeper, more subtle sense of continuity that defines our identity? From a philosophical standpoint, the question of whether we are still the same person revolves around the issue of personal identity over time. A key concept in this discussion is the idea of continuity of self. This suggests that despite the changes we experience, there is something that remains constant and unchanging within us. Perhaps it is our sense of self-awareness, our inner consciousness, or the core values and beliefs that we hold. Even as we grow older and face new challenges, our sense of who we are may evolve, but it is also grounded in certain aspects of our being that provide continuity. Over the course of our lives, we inevitably undergo changes, both big and small, that affect how we view ourselves and how others perceive us. These changes can be physical, emotional, mental, or even spiritual. For example, our appearance changes with age, our preferences may shift as we discover new interests, and our perspectives on life are altered by experiences and growth. This raises the question, if so much about us can change, does that mean we stop being the same person? Or is there an underlying essence of our identity that remains unchanged no matter how we grow and transform? One of the most noticeable changes we go through is in our mindset and worldview. As we age and gather more experiences, our beliefs and values may shift. The things that were important to us in our youth may no longer hold the same significance, and our priorities may have realigned. A person who once cared deeply about certain ambitions or material success may, later in life, value relationships, health, or personal fulfillment more. This shift in values and desires can make us wonder, am I still the same person I was when I was younger? Have I become someone entirely different because of the way my views have changed? Emotionally, too, we can change. Over time, we may learn new ways to cope with challenges or develop greater emotional resilience. A person who was once quick to anger or anxiety might develop more patience and emotional control as they age. These changes in emotional responses are often a result of life experiences, self-reflection, or even therapy. As we learn and grow emotionally, we may question whether our past self would even recognize the person we have become. If we've undergone profound emotional change, are we still the same person we were before? Another aspect of this question lies in our memories. Some argue that our identity is deeply tied to our memories, the recollections of our past that help shape our present. If we forget certain memories or experience shifts in how we recall events, does that mean we are losing parts of ourselves? Memory loss, for instance, is one of the ways in which people can experience changes to their sense of self. If someone loses important memories, it can feel as if they are no longer the same person they once were. However, there is also the argument that our identity is not solely based on our memories, but rather on the continuity of our self-awareness and experience. In this view, even if our memories fade or shift, we remain the same person in essence because the awareness of being me persists. Moreover, the question of whether we are still the same person also touches on the external influences that shape us. Relationships, societal norms, and cultural contexts play a significant role in defining who we are. The people we interact with, the values of the society we live in, and the experiences we encounter all have an impact on our development. Over time, these external forces can shape our behavior, beliefs, and decisions. A person who once identified with a particular group or ideology might change their views based on their interactions with others or exposure to new information. This can make us question whether our identity is truly our own, or whether it is shaped entirely by external forces. Are we still the same person, or have we merely become a product of our environment? Physically, we also undergo tremendous changes. From childhood to adulthood, and later into old age, our bodies transform in countless ways. These physical changes, such as alterations in appearance, strength, and even cognitive function, often prompt us to reflect on the nature of personal identity. If our physical bodies change so drastically, can we still consider ourselves the same person? The mind-body connection plays a significant role in how we perceive ourselves. When we look in the mirror and notice the signs of aging, or when we experience shifts in our physical abilities, we may feel disconnected from the image of ourselves we once had. Yet, despite these changes, many people continue to identify with the person they were, regardless of their physical transformations. This suggests that our sense of self is not solely determined by our bodies, but by something deeper, perhaps our consciousness or our ongoing narrative of who we are. There is also a growing body of thought in psychology that suggests that identity is not fixed, but rather, it is a process that is constantly evolving. According to this perspective, we are never truly the same person from one moment to the next, as our thoughts, experiences, and circumstances continue to shift. While we may hold on to certain constants, such as our core values or personality traits, we are always in flux, adapting to new situations and learning from our experiences. This view challenges the traditional notion of a static identity and encourages us to see ourselves as dynamic, ever-changing beings. In a way, the question, "Are you still the same person?" suggests that identity is a fluid, ongoing process rather than a fixed state. Perhaps the question itself misses the point by implying that we should be the same person at all times. Instead, perhaps the real question should be, how do we reconcile the changes we experience with our understanding of who we are? How can we embrace the growth and transformation that life brings while still maintaining a sense of continuity and self-awareness? Ultimately, the answer to the question is personal and subjective. For some, the changes in appearance, behavior, and mindset may feel so drastic that they no longer recognize themselves, while for others, the core essence of who they are remains intact despite outward changes. The way we perceive ourselves and our identity may differ depending on our experiences, values, and perspective on life. The question serves as a reminder that while change is inevitable, it is also a natural and essential part of life. It encourages us to reflect on who we were, who we are, and who we may become, acknowledging that identity is both a journey and an ongoing process of growth. In conclusion, are you still the same person? Is not a question that has a simple or definitive answer. It invites us to consider the complexity of personal identity and the constant ebb and flow of who we are over time. While we may undergo significant changes in our appearance, mindset, emotions, and values, there are often aspects of us that remain constant, whether it's our sense of self, our core beliefs, or our inner consciousness. Ultimately, we may not be exactly the same person we were in the past, but we continue to carry the thread of continuity that ties our past, present, and future selves together. The last trace of humanity. The Last Trace of Humanity is a haunting and thought-provoking exploration of what defines us as human beings, and what remains of our humanity when everything else fades away. This question invites us to reflect on the core essence of human nature, the qualities that set us apart from other life forms, and the impact of time and circumstance on our identity. In a rapidly changing world, both physically and ideologically, it prompts us to consider what makes us uniquely human, and what might survive us in the face of inevitable change. What happens to humanity when the markers of civilization are no longer present? Is there something intrinsic that remains, or does humanity disappear with the end of its structures and societies? At its heart, The Last Trace of Humanity asks whether our human qualities, our emotions, our consciousness, our capacity for empathy, can survive in a world where all outward signs of civilization have disappeared. It challenges us to think about the essence of human life. What part of ourselves is essential, enduring, and capable of surviving the end of civilization as we know it? Will the human spirit endure, even when our cities crumble and our technology fades? Or will the last trace of humanity simply be lost, extinguished with the passing of time? To begin, it's important to consider what we mean by humanity. On one level, humanity refers to the physical and cultural aspects of our species, our social structures, technologies, languages, and ways of organizing societies. These outward markers of civilization define us and shape the world we live in. Yet, on a deeper level, humanity is also about the internal qualities that make us who we are: our consciousness, our emotional lives, our capacity for love, fear, and hope. It's in these intangible, internal characteristics that the true essence of humanity resides, the qualities that endure even when the external world may change dramatically. In considering the last trace of humanity, we must ask ourselves what aspects of our humanity will outlast the collapse of civilization. The idea of collapse here refers not just to a literal collapse of cities and nations, but also to the breakdown of cultural, social, and technological systems that have long defined human existence. If the power grids go out, if our digital world crumbles, if societies disband and return to a more primal existence, what will remain of us? At the forefront of this question is the role of memory in history. Our memories, our personal recollections, and collective historical consciousness serve as a trace of who we were. They are the remnants of our existence, preserving who we have been and what we have accomplished. But what happens when history is erased, when the records of our achievements and failures are lost to time? In a world without books, without written records or electronic devices to store information, what becomes of humanity's story? Do we lose the essence of who we are, or does the memory of our humanity somehow transcend physical records? The question of the last trace of humanity is also deeply connected to the concept of empathy. One of the defining traits of humanity is our ability to feel and understand the emotions of others. Empathy allows us to form deep connections, to care for others, and to create communities that support and uplift. In a world where all the systems that support human interaction and communication are gone, will empathy survive? Can we still feel for others, even when we are isolated from one another? Or does empathy depend on the external structures of society, like family, friendships, and communities, to remain active and meaningful? Moreover, in the absence of civilization, we must also ask if we would still hold on to our moral compass. In a post-civilization world, would our instincts for cooperation, fairness, and kindness survive? Would we be driven by survival instincts alone, or would the higher functions of our humanity, our capacity for altruism, sacrifice, and love, still persist? In the animal kingdom, survival is often the primary goal, but human beings have historically shown a capacity for selflessness and compassion beyond mere survival. These traits, more than any material artifact or technological achievement, may be the last traces of humanity. They might be the very things that distinguish us from other creatures and ensure our enduring identity, even in the face of immense challenges. Yet, as we reflect on this, we must acknowledge that humanity's survival in its current form is deeply dependent on external factors, on technology, on social structures, and on our ability to build and sustain complex societies. If these structures were to collapse entirely, would humanity revert to something more primal, or would the traces of civilization, our cultures, our arts, our scientific discoveries, linger in our collective consciousness? Could the idea of humanity be carried forward by the memory of those who came before, even as the physical world falls away? And if so, how would future generations define humanity without the contexts that shaped it? The idea of the last trace of humanity also points to the possibility of leaving a legacy for future civilizations. Even if the immediate structures of our world were to collapse, could we leave behind a mark on the earth, a trace that speaks to our existence? There are examples of ancient civilizations whose legacies persist in the form of ruins, artifacts, and cultural contributions. In this way, humanity's last trace may not be a physical one at all, but instead something more abstract. Ideas, philosophies, art, or scientific principles that continue to influence the course of human development long after we are gone. Furthermore, the question of humanity's last trace also implies a larger existential inquiry. Is humanity destined for extinction, or will it evolve into something new? In our search for meaning, we often grapple with the uncertainty of our place in the universe. Will humanity, in its current form, cease to exist, leaving only traces behind? Or will the fundamental traits of human existence, our creativity, our capacity for growth, and our ability to connect, give rise to new forms of existence? Could the essence of humanity transcend its physical form, taking on new dimensions as we evolve in the future? This question also invites us to consider the role of technology in shaping our future. As we develop artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, and other advanced technologies, we may be faced with new challenges regarding what it means to be human. Could humanity evolve beyond its biological roots, leaving behind the physical form we now recognize? If we move beyond our current limitations, through artificial enhancements, consciousness uploads, or other forms of technological advancement, will we still be human, or will we become something else entirely? The last trace of humanity in this case may not be a physical remnant, but a transformation into a new stage of existence. In conclusion, the last trace of humanity is a deeply existential question that compels us to reflect on what it means to be human, and what aspects of our identity will persist when everything else fades away. Is humanity defined by its external markers, its culture, technology, and social systems, or by the internal, emotional, and moral qualities that bind us together. While civilization may crumble and the records of human history may fade, it is possible that the true essence of humanity, our empathy, creativity, and capacity for love, will endure in some form. The last trace of humanity may not be something that can be touched or seen, but something that resides in the very core of our being, surviving even when everything else is lost. Colors beyond sight. Colors. Beyond sight invites a deep reflection on the limits of human perception and the ways in which the world unfolds beyond the capabilities of our senses. It challenges us to question the nature of reality and whether what we experience through sight, sound, taste, touch, and smell truly encompasses all that exists around us. Specifically, it draws attention to the concept of color, an essential and yet often taken for granted part of our visual experience, and explores how much of the world remains unseen by the human eye, beyond the range of visible light. The colors we perceive are not intrinsic properties of objects themselves, but rather a product of how light interacts with those objects and how our eyes and brains interpret those interactions. Visible light, the range of electromagnetic radiation that we can see, is only a small sliver of the entire electromagnetic spectrum. Beyond the visible spectrum lies ultraviolet light, infrared radiation, X-rays, gamma rays, and many other forms of electromagnetic energy. These wavelengths, though they exist in the world around us, are completely invisible to the human eye. In fact, much of what makes up the physical reality around us is imperceptible, not just to our vision, but to all of our senses. Imagine a world where you could perceive colors beyond the narrow range of the visible spectrum. What if you could see ultraviolet light or infrared radiation as vibrant colors, revealing details about the environment that are currently hidden? For instance, certain creatures such as insects or birds can see ultraviolet light, allowing them to perceive patterns on flowers that are invisible to us. This enhanced color vision helps them navigate the world in ways that we cannot comprehend. For us, these patterns and details are invisible, and we are left with a limited view of the world. However, if we could somehow access these colors beyond sight, our perception of the world would be radically transformed. Similarly, some animals such as dogs or cats perceive the world differently in terms of color. Whereas humans can see a wide range of colors, dogs primarily see shades of blue and yellow and are blind to red. This difference highlights that our perception of the world is not an absolute reflection of reality, but is filtered through the specific limitations and capabilities of our senses. Just as humans cannot perceive the full spectrum of light, other species also experience a vastly different reality, limited by their unique sensory systems. Yet, even within the narrow range of colors that we can see, there is more than meets the eye. The way we interpret and react to colors can differ based on cultural context, personal experience, and even emotional state. For example, red may evoke feelings of passion, love, or danger, while blue often conveys calmness or sadness. This subjective experience of color shows that our perception of the world is not only shaped by the physical properties of light, but also by the meanings we attach to those properties. In this sense, color exists as much in the mind as it does in the world around us. The richness of color perception goes beyond mere visual stimuli. It interacts with our emotions, memories, and cognitive processes. But what about the colors that lie beyond human sight? What might they tell us about the world we cannot see? We have only to look at technological advancements in science and medicine to appreciate how these invisible phenomena reveal new dimensions of reality. For example, infrared imaging reveals heat patterns in living organisms, allowing us to see the world through the eyes of temperature rather than visible light. X-ray machines provide us with a view inside the human body, offering a glimpse into structures hidden beneath the skin. These technologies make visible to us what was once invisible, offering a broader and more complex understanding of the world. In the realm of astronomy, our ability to look beyond the visible spectrum has revolutionized our understanding of the universe. Telescopes that detect infrared, ultraviolet, and X-ray radiation have allowed scientists to observe stars, galaxies, and black holes in ways that would be impossible using only visible light. These new colors, invisible to the naked eye, provide vital information about the universe's origins, its structure, and its ongoing evolution. The very fabric of reality, as we understand it, has expanded because of our ability to perceive what lies beyond the visible spectrum. Colors beyond sight, in this case, have unlocked entire new worlds of discovery. However, the question of colors beyond sight is not just a matter of technological progress or scientific curiosity. It also raises philosophical questions about the nature of perception and the limits of human experience. If we could somehow access the full spectrum of light or other unseen aspects of reality, would it change our understanding of ourselves and our place in the world? Would it make the world feel more complex or more mysterious? Or would we simply become overwhelmed by the sheer volume of sensory information that would suddenly be available to us? This question touches on the broader theme of human limitation. We often assume that our senses provide us with a complete and accurate representation of reality. However, as we explore the limits of human perception, we begin to realize that there is much more to reality than we can directly observe. In this sense, colors beyond sight serves as a metaphor for all of the unseen forces and dimensions that influence our lives, from the microscopic world of bacteria and viruses to the vast and mysterious expanses of the universe. One of the key insights that emerges from thinking about colors beyond sight is that our experience of reality is limited by the tools we have to perceive it. Human perception is not a window into the objective world, but rather a filter that selects certain information while leaving other aspects of reality hidden. Our eyes are capable of perceiving only a fraction of the electromagnetic spectrum, and even our other senses are limited in their ability to detect the full range of stimuli that exist in the world. This limitation is not a flaw, but rather a consequence of evolution, which has shaped our senses to help us navigate the environment in the most efficient way possible for survival. However, the exploration of colors beyond sight opens up the possibility of expanding human perception. With the help of technology, we can extend the boundaries of our sensory experience, allowing us to see and understand more of the world around us. Whether through scientific instruments that reveal hidden dimensions or through creative use of art and design, humans have the capacity to push the limits of perception and expand our experience of the world. This expansion of sensory perception also brings to light the idea that there's always more to reality than meets the eye. The colors we see, the sounds we hear, and the sensations we feel are only a small part of the vast and complex world that surrounds us. There are countless phenomena that exist beyond our sensory capabilities, waiting to be discovered, explored, and understood. The pursuit of knowledge, whether through science, art, or philosophy, is ultimately about pushing the boundaries of perception and opening our minds to the possibility of what lies beyond sight, sound, and touch. In conclusion, colors beyond sight serves as a reminder of the limitations of human perception and the vastness of reality beyond what we can sense. It invites us to consider the ways in which unseen dimensions of the world may shape our experience and understanding of life. As technology advances and our sensory capabilities expand, we gain access to new colors, new information, and new perspectives that deepen our appreciation for the world around us. Ultimately, the exploration of these colors challenges us to think about the nature of perception, reality, and the infinite possibilities that lie beyond what we can see. Why aliens might ignore us. Why aliens might ignore us delves into one of the most fascinating and perplexing questions of modern science and philosophy. If extraterrestrial life exists, why haven't we made contact with them yet? The idea of alien civilizations has long captured the imagination of humanity. The vastness of the universe, with its billions of stars and planets, seems to suggest that life elsewhere is not only possible, but highly probable. Yet, despite decades of searching for signs of extraterrestrial intelligence, we have found no definitive proof that we are not alone. This leads to a series of possible explanations, one of which is that aliens might simply be ignoring us. But why would this be the case? To begin, we must first acknowledge that the search for extraterrestrial life is fraught with complexities. The methods we use to search for alien civilizations, such as listening for radio signals or scanning for signs of advanced technology, are based on the assumption that extraterrestrial civilizations are using similar forms of communication or technology to our own. However, this assumption may be flawed. Aliens may not communicate in the same way we do, or they may be using technology or methods of communication that are beyond our current understanding. In this sense, it's entirely possible that aliens are already aware of us, but we have simply failed to detect their signals or messages. One of the primary reasons aliens might ignore us is the vast distances involved in space travel. The universe is so enormous that the closest star to Earth, Proxima Centauri, is more than 4 light-years away. Even if an alien civilization were to exist within this range, the time it would take for a signal to travel between our two worlds would span years or even decades. Given the technological limitations of our current space exploration capabilities, it's unlikely that aliens would actively seek out contact with us. In fact, they may simply view us as a distant and insignificant species in the grand scope of the universe. The size of the universe also raises another important point. The chances of two civilizations existing within close enough proximity to one another for meaningful contact are incredibly slim. If extraterrestrial life exists, it is likely that it is spread out across an unimaginably vast expanse of space. Even within our own galaxy, the Milky Way, the distances between stars are so great that the likelihood of another civilization being close enough to us to communicate or make contact is extremely low. This might explain why, despite the potential for countless other civilizations to exist, we have yet to make contact with any of them. The odds simply may not be in our favor. Another potential reason why aliens might ignore us is that they may not be interested in interacting with a species as primitive as ours. It's a sobering thought, but the reality is that the level of technological development required to communicate across interstellar distances or to travel between stars is far beyond our current capabilities. If aliens have developed technologies that allow them to explore the cosmos, they may view us as a species still in its infancy. Our inability to even travel beyond our own solar system or make meaningful contact with other civilizations might make us appear insignificant or unworthy of their attention. Additionally, alien civilizations may have already developed a form of social or cultural maturity that leads them to avoid contact with less advanced species. The idea of the prime directive from science fiction, which suggests that advanced civilizations should refrain from interfering with or influencing the development of less advanced civilizations, is one potential explanation for why aliens might ignore us. If extraterrestrial civilizations have followed this principle, they might actively avoid making contact with us in order to allow us to evolve and develop on our own. Interfering with a developing species could have unintended consequences, and advanced civilizations might choose to observe us from a distance, respecting our autonomy and allowing us to chart our own course. It's also worth considering that alien civilizations may have no interest in communication at all. They may simply have no need or desire to engage with other species, especially ones that are not in close proximity to them. Just as humans do not generally seek out communication with every life form on Earth, aliens might be indifferent to our existence. If their society is focused on different goals or priorities, the existence of an intelligent species like us may not hold any particular significance. They may view us as a curiosity, but not something worth investing their time and resources into. On the other hand, it's also possible that aliens are aware of us, but they have chosen to ignore us for reasons beyond our understanding. There could be factors at play that we are not yet capable of comprehending. For example, the existence of parallel universes or alternate dimensions could imply that there are multiple versions of reality in which extraterrestrial civilizations operate. Aliens in one reality might be aware of our existence in another, but due to the nature of their own universe or dimension, they may have no means of interacting with us, or perhaps they have chosen not to intervene. In this scenario, the alien civilizations are not ignoring us out of malice or indifference, but because their reality operates on a fundamentally different level than ours. Moreover, another possibility is that alien civilizations are simply not aware of us at all. Despite the billions of stars and planets in the universe, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence is still in its early stages. The vast majority of space remains unexplored, and even if alien civilizations exist, they may be just as unaware of us as we are of them. The universe is not only vast in physical size but also in time, and the window of opportunity for detecting or making contact with extraterrestrial life might be incredibly small. Civilizations may rise and fall over eons, and the chances of two civilizations being in a state of technological advancement that allows for contact at the same time and place are astronomically low. Lastly, it's important to consider the possibility that aliens may exist, but their forms of communication or life are so radically different from ours that we are unable to even recognize them as intelligent life. Our definition of intelligence and consciousness may be too narrow to encompass the full range of possibilities. Aliens may exist in a form that we cannot perceive or understand, making it impossible for us to make contact even if they are actively seeking interaction. Their colors, their languages, or their very methods of communication may be so beyond our comprehension that we cannot detect or interpret their attempts at contact. In conclusion, the question of why aliens might ignore us is one that reflects both the vastness and complexity of the universe. There are numerous reasons why extraterrestrial civilizations may choose not to engage with us, from the sheer distance and size of space to our own technological limitations and the possible maturity of alien societies. It is equally possible that we have yet to detect their presence, or that they are simply indifferent to our existence. Whatever the case may be, the search for extraterrestrial life remains one of humanity's most profound and intriguing endeavors, one that will continue to inspire questions about our place in the cosmos and the true nature of intelligence and consciousness. The brain naming itself. The brain naming itself explores one of the most profound paradoxes in the study of consciousness and self-awareness. The idea that the human brain, through its complex network of neurons and cognitive functions, is responsible for understanding and labeling its own existence. This philosophical and scientific dilemma has fascinated thinkers for centuries. How can the brain, a biological entity, possess the capacity to reflect upon itself and form concepts such as I, me, or self? The act of the brain naming itself raises fundamental questions about the nature of self-consciousness, the relationship between mind and body, and the limits of human understanding. At the core of this inquiry is the concept of metacognition. the ability of the brain to think about its own thinking. Metacognition is the process by which individuals become aware of their thoughts, monitor their cognitive processes, and make decisions based on this awareness. This ability to reflect upon one's own mental states is a unique feature of human consciousness. It allows us not only to learn, but to understand our capacity to learn, and in doing so, it enables us to label our experiences, our emotions, and even the very essence of our being. The idea that the brain can name itself involves the recognition that our thoughts and perceptions are shaped by the very brain that generates them. Through a series of neural processes, we become aware of our existence and begin to label the world around us. The act of naming is crucial to how we organize and understand reality. When we encounter objects or experiences, we assign words to them, categorizing them into concepts that make sense within the framework of our experience. This process of categorization is not limited to external objects, but extends to our own mental states, bodies, and ultimately to the concept of self. The brain's ability to name itself is rooted in its capacity for self-representation. Self-representation refers to the brain's ability to form a model or map of its own body, mind, and actions. This internal model is constantly updated as we engage with the world and with ourselves. Through this model, the brain creates a coherent sense of self that integrates the various aspects of our identity, from our physical body to our thoughts, emotions, and memories. By naming itself, the brain is effectively acknowledging its own existence and creating a framework within which it can make sense of its experiences. One of the most interesting aspects of this process is the way in which the brain comes to understand the idea of self in relation to others. The development of self-awareness is thought to be a gradual process that begins in early childhood. Infants initially have no concept of themselves as separate from the world around them. But over time, they begin to recognize themselves in mirrors, understand the concept of I, and develop a sense of personal identity. This self-awareness is a key step in the brain's ability to name itself. It marks the point at which the brain shifts from being a passive receiver of sensory information to an active participant in shaping its own reality. The process of naming oneself is not only a cognitive achievement but also a linguistic one. Language plays a central role in how we construct and communicate our sense of self. Through language, we are able to categorize our thoughts and experiences, shaping our understanding of who we are and how we relate to the world. The words we use to describe ourselves, whether they are I, me, my, or any other term, serve as tools for organizing our internal world. These words are more than just labels. They are fundamental to how we experience our own consciousness. Without language, it is difficult to imagine how the brain could develop a coherent sense of self, as language provides the means by which we can articulate and reflect upon our thoughts and experiences. However, the brain's naming of itself is not a straightforward process. The idea of self is fluid, constantly shifting as we gain new experiences and insights. Our sense of self evolves over time, shaped by our interactions with the world and with other people. As we grow, we encounter new challenges, perspectives, and ideas that prompt us to reconsider who we are and how we fit into the world. The brain is not a static entity. Rather, it is a dynamic system that adapts and changes in response to the world around it. This ongoing process of self-reflection and redefinition is a key aspect of the brain's ability to name itself. This dynamic nature of self-awareness raises important questions about the stability of identity. If our sense of self is constantly changing, does it mean that there is no fixed core of who we are? Are we merely the sum of our experiences, constantly shifting in response to external and internal influences? Philosophers have grappled with these questions for centuries, and the debate continues to this day. Some argue that the self is an illusion, a construct created by the brain in order to make sense of the world. Others maintain that there is a deeper, more permanent aspect of identity that persists throughout a lifetime, despite the changes we undergo. Regardless of where one stands on this issue, it is clear that the act of naming oneself is an ongoing process, one that is continually reshaped by the brain's experiences, thoughts, and interactions. Another important aspect of the brain naming itself is the role of memory. Memory is central to our ability to form a coherent sense of self, as it allows us to connect past experiences with our present identity. When we remember our past, we are able to see how we have changed over time, and how those changes have contributed to the person we are today. Memory enables us to retain a sense of continuity and coherence, even as our thoughts, emotions, and experiences evolve. The brain's ability to store and recall memories is essential to its ability to name itself and to understand its own existence. However, memory is not always reliable, and our sense of self can be shaped by faulty or incomplete memories. This raises another fascinating question. If the brain's understanding of itself is based on its memories, what happens when those memories are altered, forgotten, or distorted? The brain's ability to name itself is not infallible. It is subject to the limitations and imperfections of human memory. This means that our sense of self is never fixed or absolute, but is instead subject to change as we interpret our experiences and reshape our identities. The brain's naming of itself also raises questions about the nature of consciousness. What is the relationship between the brain, the mind, and consciousness? How does the brain give rise to the subjective experience of being aware? These are questions that remain largely unanswered, but they highlight the complexity of the brain's role in shaping our sense of self. The act of naming oneself is a form of consciousness, a recognition that we exist as individuals with thoughts, feelings, and experiences that are distinct from those of others. In this sense, the brain's ability to name itself is not just a cognitive achievement, but a profound existential realization. In conclusion, the brain naming itself explores the paradoxical process by which the brain becomes aware of its own existence and creates the concept of self. Through metacognition, language, memory, and self-awareness, the brain forms a coherent sense of identity that allows us to navigate the world and understand our place within it. However, this process is not without its complexities. The brain's understanding of itself is fluid, dynamic, and subject to change, shaped by experiences, memories, and external influences. As we continue to explore the mysteries of consciousness and self-awareness, the question of how the brain names itself remains one of the most profound challenges in both science and philosophy: the existence of the unseen. The existence of the unseen takes us into the realms of mystery and the unknown, questioning what lies beyond the boundaries of human perception. It delves into the profound idea that there may be elements of reality that are beyond our ability to see, touch, or even comprehend, yet still exert influence over our lives. Whether it be the forces of nature, dimensions beyond the ones we experience, or realms beyond the physical universe, the unseen world is one that has fascinated philosophers, scientists, and spiritual thinkers alike for centuries. The exploration of this concept encourages us to reflect on the limitations of human understanding, the potential of undiscovered realities, and the boundaries of science and metaphysics. At the heart of the concept of the unseen lies the recognition that human senses are limited. We see only a small fraction of the electromagnetic spectrum, hear only certain frequencies of sound, and perceive only a narrow range of the world around us. The universe, in all its complexity, may contain far more than we can access through our limited sensory experiences. There may be forces, dimensions or entities that are operating outside of the range of human perception, but their effects are still present, shaping the world in ways we can't easily detect. One of the most well-known scientific concepts that speak to the unseen is the theory of dark matter and dark energy. Scientists know that the majority of the universe's mass is made up of dark matter, yet this substance cannot be seen, touched, or directly measured with our current technology. Similarly, dark energy is a mysterious force that is driving the acceleration of the expansion of the universe, but it remains invisible and undetectable by conventional means. These phenomena are crucial to understanding the universe's behavior, yet they are largely unseen, leaving scientists with the challenge of piecing together the invisible components that make up the cosmos. This example illustrates that the unseen can still hold immense power and influence, even if we cannot directly perceive it. The limitations of human perception extend beyond the physical universe and into the realm of the metaphysical. In many religious and philosophical traditions, the unseen is considered to encompass the spiritual realm, or the presence of forces that transcend the material world. For example, in various faiths, there is the belief in an invisible spiritual dimension, where entities such as gods, angels, or otherworldly beings exist. These entities are often thought to influence human lives and the course of events in ways that are beyond our understanding. While these ideas may not be directly verifiable through scientific means, they remain a powerful aspect of human belief, suggesting that the unseen holds sway over the physical world in ways that we cannot measure or detect. Similarly, in the realm of quantum physics, the concept of the unseen takes on a new and compelling form. The behavior of subatomic particles, such as electrons and photons, often defies our everyday understanding of reality. Quantum mechanics shows us that particles can exist in multiple states at once, a phenomenon known as superposition, and that observation can influence the outcome of experiments, the observer effect. This strange, unseen behavior of particles challenges our traditional understanding of the universe and suggests that reality is far more complex than our senses can convey. In this sense, the unseen is not merely a void or emptiness, but a realm where the laws of physics themselves behave in ways that are not immediately accessible to human perception.